Legendary shit. Okay.
All right, we live right now. We live right now, family. What's peace to the family? I'm gonna let everybody fill in the chat. They knew we was coming because I just told them when me and Dot was live, so they know we was coming right back with the whole fam. Let me see. All y'all can hear me, right? Dot, Sarnetta, Blue Pill?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. The people's coming in the building. I see y'all. Yeah, I told y'all we was coming. I was coming back with the whole crew. I told y'all I was coming back with the whole crew. Shout out to everybody coming in. Buddha Black, Just Be Real, Mark G, Chris Middleton, Tahuti L, Max Bird. Shout out to the whole family. I got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 different platforms, huge platforms on this channel right now. 5 different platforms that have shaped consciousness within the last decade on this channel right now. Way before the term woke, when you was just conscious, you know, yo, you conscious, son? Yo, she conscious, son? Yo, shorty conscious? You'd be like, yo, shorty conscious, son? Like, yeah, that's what's up. Now, you know,
Conscious.
the mainstream term is woke. Sarnetta, you know what's funny? Before we start, at your last debate with Ankh, his shirt said pseudo on it. And I remember before they started using that word, it was spooky. So before pseudo, they used to call brothers like myself spooky. That's it. Yeah, it was spookism. It was spookism back in the day. So it's just always interesting to see how, no matter how much they change, it's still the same as somewhat from spooky to pseudo, but that's just an observation. Listen, family, I want to welcome you to the last event of the year for Brother Rich. I don't know what these other brothers are doing on their platforms. I'm sure they might do something, but this is my last live event for the year. I still got footage from Mama Pill, Blue Pill, Red Pill. I might throw that up tomorrow. But as far as my last event, live event, this is it right here. Like I said, I have 5 huge platforms on the air live right now that's responsible for where we at in our consciousness, a lot of us. And I want to thank these brothers for coming in collectively and joining me for this conversation where everybody's doing the decade in review. So you got the music artists, the sports, the entertainers, Hollywood. Everybody's doing a decade in review. So I seen Red and Blue talking about the best this or the best that or the best this. So I wanted, Blue Pill told me, yo, you should have a show before the end of the year. That show we was talking about, a conversation we was having. So I think it's extremely important to include consciousness in the last decade in this conversation that everybody's having about the 10s. They call it the 10s from 2010 to 2019. With that being said,
it initially started out earlier this year with a meme called a 10-year challenge. And that kind of set the tone for the fact that 2019 was going to be a mirror to 2009. You know what I'm saying? And then for some of us towards the end of the year, it was a mirror to 1999. It was a 20-year mirror. If anybody can relate, I can definitely relate to that. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to see how this thing plays out. But yeah, that kind of set the tone first. So people were familiar with the 10-year challenge based on the meme. But now at the end of the year, people are doing, they're revisiting their 10-year to 20-year windows.
So listen, with that being said, we've seen in terms of consciousness, me and Dot had an excellent conversation. It was short. I wish it was longer, Dot. We could continue it one day, but Dot was pretty thorough in his breakdown of going from the 90s to leading up toward 2010. Sarnetta, you was mentioning a lot. King Simon, you was mentioned when you made your entry into the game and you bought King Simon Productions doing what you did. But what we're focusing on tonight is the last decade and the shift in consciousness, what happened from 2010 to 2019, who we think shined the most, just different aspects. Yeah.
But before we go, because I tuned into the thing kind of late, but that, why don't get mentioned in that initial eye-opener production
I did.
formation? I was there.
I said the classmates. Okay. I mentioned all the classmates. I said red pill, blue pill.
No. Before there was a red pill. Blue pill was there when the introduction initially got made between Chris, you, and Shabazz.
Well, you were the introduction to that.
To initiate what was conversed about on the visiting floor with me and A.A. Rashid. And then once you said y'all had the relationships, we put things into motion, and I faded to the back because I was still doing Four Corners in the music industry thing at the time.
All facts. I was given an abbreviate because Rich kind of hit me up. He said, we don't have a lot of time. So I was kind of abbreviating. So when I made brief mention of my stop at Four Corners, which is where I met you, and you became the plug into Chris. So I didn't fill in all of the details. When we all sit down, because I want me, you, Chris, and Shabazz to sit down, maybe with brother Rich, and have that conversation. So I was just kind of bullet point.
My thing, I just get emitted out of it, and we going into a new century.
Oh, no.
Like, man, you trying to force yourself into this.
Oh, nah. You was in that conversation. So when all four of us sit down together, right, I think we can kind of, just because there's certain things that Chris know, certain things Shabazz know, and you know, that we need to sit down together and have a real honest conversation, including Brother Sarnetta, on how we kind of regalvanized what became the conscious community, because we started steering it toward younger people.
The latest iteration of it, which was mainly hip hop. And it's very worth noting that this was, because we have to put things in proper context, this was post Khalid Muhammad, because, my feelings have always been that he was purposely removed off to the scene prior to 9/11. So when that vacancy was very evident, in the community, and you were speaking about the divergent streams of information earlier, where one person was a little bit more literal, dealing with facts and history, and then there's another contingency dealing with mysteries, which led into metaphysics. And Absolutely. I think that stream, those two divergent streams have always been the quiet inherent conflict of consciousness. Absolutely. Whether we're going to take things literal or whether we're going to take things fantastical. And that's where the whole pseudo spooky labeling thing came in.
That's a great way to lay the foundation.
He's a student of, Khalid.
Yes.
And that's not where the community veered towards to once Khalid was taken off of the scene. The community started veering more towards the mystery school.
Right. I want us to get started. I don't want us to get too much into that.
Go ahead,
want to focus on 2010, 2019, family. Let me see what's going on in the chat real quick. Okay, everybody in the chat. All right. Yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Sci-Fi in the chat, everybody else in the chat. All right, so we about to get started, fam. This is going to be a very interesting, amazing show. I want to start out with, listen, as far as being a speaker, in terms of this craft, this being a lecturer, in terms of just being in this community, in terms of the idea of finding know thyself, finding oneself. Some people look at it as a quick fix, and if something, they give it like a 4-year time span. If something don't happen, they're going back to wherever they was at. 4 years, some shit magical got to happen. If not, this shit don't work, I'm going back. I've seen you brothers last in this community for so long that I respect your opinions, because you just didn't pop up on YouTube. You didn't pop up on Blog Talk Radio. You didn't pop up on Instagram. You've been around. You've proven at this point that this is a life journey for you. This isn't just something that you're experimenting with for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years or whatever. This is our lives. This is not a quick hustle we got to make a couple of extra dollars, and I'm gonna do this because I got my job, and then I'm gonna do this to do that. No. This is our lives. And that's something Sarnetta used to stress to me when I used to be a vendor on the street. He used to stress me to the point about how we got to think a certain way, because we can't rely on certain other things that the rest of the world relies on. So with that being said, the last decade, we've seen a lot in consciousness. We've seen YouTube kill the DVD game. We've seen Tariq Nasheed come on the scene and take over the world with consciousness with Hidden Colors. We've seen speakers emerge. We've seen speakers disappear. We've seen the debate scene take off, and Sarnetta get a lot of criticism for the debates. We've seen the disappear. Bobby Hemmett just completely leave the scene. We've seen the death of Delbert Blair, one of our greats. We've seen so much in the last decade in terms of consciousness that I felt that's appropriate for us individuals to have this conversation. With that being said, I want to start out with, in terms of consciousness and in terms of our speakers, I want to start out, since we're talking about, pseudo and spooky and all of that, for the esoteric speakers out there, who do you think shot from 2010 to 2019? Now I'm talking about consistency. I'm talking about impact. I'm talking about disruptors. I'm talking about innovators. I'm talking about charisma. In terms of all of these things, what speakers stood out the most to you, and what speaker do you think, if there's one in particular, stood out the most to you in terms of the esoteric, occult, metaphysical community of speakers from 2010 to 2019?
Nobody want to go?
Sarnetta, we can start with you, Sarnetta.
All right, man. I want to say shout out to all my brothers. It's good to see y'all, man. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Good to see us still. It's good to see we still doing our thing. Is a proven testament that we didn't just come in for the money. Of course, we wanted money. We wanted to get the money, but we got it doing what we love to do. You see, we didn't just get it, break out, buy our cars and do it, and just break out and leave the community. No, we stood here. We did what we love to do, man. I have watched Blue Pill grow up right before my eyes. I watched Brother Rich grow up. I remember King Simon coming in, crossing right over from the reggae stage to here. I'm gonna continue your question, Brother Rich, but I remember even meeting Black Dot. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I'm the first one to meet Brother Black Dot. I remember we was going to the forums of the what was the Automatics joint?
UAM.
The UAM. Me and Black Dot, I used to be up in there, and Black Dot would come with a bag or a box of DVDs with the music on it, talking over the music. He would put the lectures over the music, and I'd be like, damn, what the hell is that? I got to get a couple of those. And so that's how me and Black Dot met. Every week would always meet up at the UAM, man. Now, as far as you saying, Rich, about your question, I would say Dr. Umar.
No, I said the esoteric speak, like the metaphysical. We're gonna start out. I'm gonna break it into categories, and then I want to go to like I guess Umar is your overall, but as far as the metaphysical speakers, like who stood out the most?
Well, we could say like A.A. Rashid. I felt that he was like really underrated. He didn't really get the play that he was supposed to get, because sometimes we could bring in speakers too quick, and the people don't really be ready for you. I feel the people wasn't really ready for our brother A.A. Rashid. He is a powerful, dynamic speaker if you really get to listen to him, the way he break that down. So my brother A.A. Rashid was one of those speakers. And of course, Panic, I would say Panic came later on. You know, I got a little liking to Brother Panic later, because to me, Panic just reminded me of Bobby Hemmett, another piece of Bobby Hemmett, and we needed that because Bobby had moved on now, and and so we seen little Bobby in Panic. You know what I'm saying? So that's a hell of a some shoes to fill right there. And I want to say too, Rich, you stole my girl, man, Sister Sapphire. Shout out to Sister Sapphire. Stole my queen, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get you for that, Rich. But yeah, man, I would say brother A.A. Rashid. Brother A.A. Rashid and Brother Panic for me. Gano Grills, no, he ain't come. That he wasn't here yet at that time.
Real quick, I'm sorry, real quick. Black Dot Blue Pill. What year did AA come on the scene? Was he on the scene at 2010 or did he come
before?
He came before.
Yeah.
About 09, right?
And he came, AA came home around 05, 06, when we were still doing Metaphysical Underground, maybe even prior to that, because
all right, I don't want to get too long into that, but Blue Pill, I want you to go into because we got a lot to cover in such a short amount of time. So I guess Blue Pill, you could be next to them. Dot, King Simon, and then I end it off. But go ahead, Blue.
Based on observation, we're talking about impact, longevity, and almost like creating a following of, because to me, a teacher is qualified by their student body. You know what I'm saying? Because the teacher has to teach. So who are the students? So what are they receiving, and are they going and doing other things, you know what I'm saying, with that information? Mm-hmm. So I say all that to say, what I've observed Panic do, you know what I'm saying, in this particular space, in the internet era. Let's be specific. You feel me? In the internet era, he was able to galvanize a lot of energy that somebody like Bobby's perfect for the internet. You know what I'm saying? Somebody like Bobby's perfect for the internet because he's very disruptive. The internet is a device that's more so built around, a different type of energy. You dig what I'm saying? And Bobby would have been perfect for the energy. Like, imagine Bobby going live. You feel me? Like, he would have had the whole world on his live. He was perfect for the internet, but he didn't make the transition. So I think that Panic kind of moved into that space, and he galvanized a lot of the millennials, the younger generation that is leaving the church, getting into metaphysics, getting into the occult. They're children of Bobby with an absentee father. So by proxy, Panic became almost like the default stepdaddy of them. And he kind of galvanized and, you feel me, kind of ran with that wave. And I see the effects of it. You know what I mean? I see the effects of it out in society when I move around. And of course, that's an early second tie with AA, just based on the level of longevity, the fact that the brother is socially and culturally relevant. I mean, he's closing out the Griselda album. You feel me? When we got in this, like Doc can attest, like we said, it was about a hip hop youth movement. So if this brother's message is now, able to reach the millions, and especially the pedigree of millions that we can't necessarily particularly reach on these platforms, to me, that's a win-win at the end of the day, if we talking metaphysics. And I feel that, like Sarnetta said, he was before his time, but his pedigree of information is going to become more relevant in these next 10 years.
Indeed. Well, let me just go real quick before King Simon and Black Dot. Yeah, my pick was Brother Panic as well. I've seen Brother Panic go from the Blog Talk era all the way to today and still be present. And although some people we have speakers that'll last from 20 to 13. If you're good, if you're real good, you'll make it from 2010 to 2016. But you have to be great to make it from 2010 to 2020. And some of these speakers that I'm thinking of and I'm hearing us mention, or not mention, but just that I have in mind in terms of impact as far as consciousness, they didn't make it the full decade quite. So I had some other brothers in mind, but when I think of making it a full decade and being very impactful, I remember Panic with Miss Blue in the Blog Talk era. So just being impactful for a full decade, I would have to say, I remember Panic during the MySpace era. He's like a computer programmer, so he's good with the computers. He knows how to do all the computer stuff. So I would definitely have to say Brother Panic, but King Simon and then Black Dot.
Yeah, Panic have definitely made an impact, but when you're talking about longevity, even with videos he didn't put up, I think Dr. Phil Valentine did a great job.
Okay.
Phil packed out when Phil came in.
Right.
Anytime I brought him. And he'll just tell you that's not.
You can't say Phil, brother, because we dealing with from 2010.
Brother, you can't tell him what to say. That's his answer.
No. What I'm saying is, I could have said Phil, but I thought you was talking about from 2010
to. We are.
Yeah, that's why I didn't say Phil. I would have said Phil.
He's saying that pocket of time that has that impact, not necessarily people that came out then.
Right.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Talking about longevity, sir. Panic definitely stimulated the whole thing, a lot of things after Bobby. But I didn't get too much into Panic until probably right before Bobby left the scene. But Phil had held down a lot of stuff on his own and could still pack a crowd. And as far as a promoter sense of it, because Panic wasn't coming out to do lectures on the scene. I'm looking at filling the seats. That's what I'm looking at. I'm a promoter.
Back in the building.
So, when it came to him, I didn't know if Panic could fill a seat until Brother Rich brought him in, and he was decided to come to New York. But I knew he was doing Miss Blue. I knew he was doing that. But I say Phil, not just because he's the Baba, but it's because I've seen in my growth of doing promotion in the consciousness or coming back to the consciousness. Because remember, I was promoting for Khaled and different people. But coming back and finding, I think Phil was doing a lot and was actually able to hold people, even though he wasn't even putting up his own videos. He didn't put up his own videos. A lot of videos of y'all produced it. It was Dot and other videos that made Phil. A lot of people don't realize that. And Chris and Big Man and all those people, man. So enough respect to Phil. I think I said my own that Panic come in right after that for me. But Phil was the one to me.
Like that?
I want to give honorable mention to Brother Bobby Hemmitt and Phil Valentine as the two pillars, who a lot of what we did stemmed from. But to focus in on the last 10 years, I'd have to mention A.A. Rashid, Brother Polite, man. I mean, he came up on this scene and he shook the very foundation of a lot of things that we were holding dear to. How many wives you can have, the fact that you can have some money in your pocket.
Well, I'm talking about just esoteric right now, Doc. Just
esoteric. He was teaching esoteric. He was teaching esoteric.
Yeah, he was. He was esoteric.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's off Dr. York's tree, so he was esoteric. And so I felt he did a perfect blend of mixing in the esoteric with the polygamy, with other aspects of making money, hip hop. So he was unique in that sense that you couldn't really put him in a certain box. You know what I'm saying? He was well-versed and well-studied. I liked, of course, A.A. Rashid, who I can literally listen to for hours at a time and never get tired of his wealth of knowledge and information. Some of the ones who popped up, who had they stayed on the scene, like Asir, the Duke of Tears, had he stayed on the scene, because he too had a wealth of knowledge that people forget. And I like to make another honorary mention, Aline Bay, you know what I'm saying, who was teaching health and Morris and metaphysics. So it is a diverse community, but definitely the pillars, Bobby and Phil, I thought, you know, Panic, of course, off the Bobby tree came in, Polite showed up and showed us something that even in the conscious community, and we thought we had seen it and heard it all, that was shook the foundation. And so those in particular, and Brother A.A. Rashid's at the top of my list.
But just remember, I kept on putting Polite in front of all these speakers.
Yes.
And I kept on giving them the audience to see what, and then he went over to Sanetta. But I kept on giving those audience in front of the Phil and the Ashraf Kwesi. That's what we negotiated. Because when he opened up for Dr. Sebi in 2009, that was like it. It kept on going, you know?
Absolutely.
This next question, family, and I just want us to all be mindful to respect each other's time, because there's a couple of questions I got, and it's such a short amount. I know y'all can't stay too late tonight, so let's just keep that in mind when we give our answer. I just want to go off a little bit outside the box and ask you, who would you give the most conscious entertainer to? And the reason why I say entertainer is because they influence the masses so much. In fact, Umar Johnson talked about how they replaced the Al Sharptons and the Jesse Jacksons with the entertainers. So now Black America looks to the entertainers to tell us what's going on with Black America instead of looking to the Al Sharptons or the Jesse Jacksons or the NAACP like we used to back in the day. So as far as the decade and as far as entertainers, who would you say stood out the most to you in terms of waking up Black America in terms of with their platform in terms of entertainment? Let's start with King Simon, since he was a huge promoter and he did what he did for the last decade, my brother. Who would you say?
Woo, man, for conscious entertainer?
It doesn't have to be specifically conscious entertainment, but they somehow managed to fit it into what they was doing. So they don't have to specifically, like, let's say, give me an example. Let me give you an example. Beyonce did the whole Black Panther thing at the Super Bowl. Now, somebody may say, yo, that was a huge move for her to make. So yeah, it could be anybody, just somebody who was able to implement that into their entertainment routine.
Within the last decade, someone born the same day as Steve Coley, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
He opened up some worms there. He's opened up some worms, and another one that's born the same. As mad as he might be, Kanye was crazy. So I gotta admit, Kanye was crazy with his stuff. And both of them are born under the same frequency. One born on the 17th of June, the other one born on the June 8th. Mm-hmm. Interesting dichotomy. So I looked at those two, but I like Kendrick a little bit more. But yeah, I looked at that. Y'all might say, because y'all are more into that. I'm more reggae. You gotta remember, mine's more reggae. So y'all more, Go ahead.
Dot, you wanna go, Dot?
Yeah, I'm gonna say Jay-Z. I know that's a little controversial, but let me explain. Okay. Remember when me and Red Pill and Blue Pill and all of us started introducing the term Illuminati into hip hop, we were introducing it in a sense to not say that these entertainers were in the Illuminati, but as above, so below, that we knew that they were dealing with some sorcery and some information that they were putting in their music. Jay-Z, who may not have been on the frequency, I felt took advantage of that. So you started seeing Skull and Bones. You started seeing him wear Aleister Crowley. You started seeing him ride the frequency. And in doing so, a lot of people, because this audience is vast.
But
so
how did it culminate?
Well, through our works.
No, I'm saying, and what did it crystallize into ultimately?
44, right? Right, I'm getting there. So by him riding,
I got the tape now.
But so by him riding that wave, he introduced more people to consciousness than we ever could, because he had a vast audience. Now, he wasn't giving them the science and the history behind it. People just started calling him Illuminati Hove. So people started studying that. And then Griff, when you Google Illuminati, Professor Griff's name comes up. You know what I mean? Because Griff was teaching the science, and Jay-Z culminated all of that with the release of the 444 album, which he basically took the vibration that was laid out by Nas 10 years before and crystallized it into an album called 444, where he again morphed himself into something else. So I gotta say Jay-Z.
Okay. Blue Pill, you want to go next?
Yeah, it's Jay-Z. And by proxy, because of that, I vote us the most influential of 2010, because we always said we came to influence the influencers. And I'm saying me, my brother Black Dot, and A.A. Rashid in that regards, because we programmed this entire decade intentionally.
Absolutely.
Right? And let a nigga say something different. You dig what I'm saying? We sat back, because it's not just people that saying,
Blue, we're not talking about that right now, though, Blue. Let me get started.
I know, but you said entertainers. I'm saying you said entertainers, and we also come under that realm of entertainment, because that's how we package and that's how we approach that particular lecture, and that's how we galvanize the youth, right? That was the first tape to become bootlegged by the African bootleggers, and it spawned the entire Exposed series. Like, y'all don't know our history out here in these streets. You dig what I'm saying?
Blueprint 322. Blueprint 322, which was 10 years ago.
Blueprint 322. So it's not like Jay-Z just came out of nowhere with 444. No, that started 10 years ago, right? When we did that lecture, November 29th, 2009, that's 10 years ago, bro. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Sonetta.
All right. Hey, Rich, say that question again, because I ran off to the bathroom. Say that real quick.
In terms of entertainers, we know how much entertainers influence the masses, influences the people. It's almost like they're the new leaders of the Black community in a sense, whether they want to accept it or not. And I want to know what entertainer stood out the most to you in terms of having an impact on the consciousness of Black people or people in general from in the last decade.
All right, y'all might say, well, damn, man, y'all might say, well, damn, this person here ain't dealing with consciousness, but sometimes you got to understand who her husband was. Black Dot and Blue Pill, they mentioned Jay-Z, but you can't mention Jay-Z without mentioning Beyonce. Beyonce brought in a powerful, huge impact to the ladies out there, to the sisters out there, and she had an influence from her husband. Remember the video she did when she stood up on the police car? You see what I'm saying? So it's just like you can't mention Nelson Mandela without mentioning Winnie Mandela. It's the same thing. We got to give the credit to the sisters as well. Beyonce brought a huge impact, you know, and a lot of sisters wanted to be the B. So she had a huge influence over a lot of women. And, you know, if they could have been coming in with that, remember, they also went and traveled to Africa too, just like, I think it was, am I right in saying that? Did they travel to Africa?
They did. They
traveled to Cuba.
Yes. Remember, yeah, there you go. You see what I'm saying? So they was traveling to Africa. They was doing their thing out there. You see? So I would have to go with the duo, the dynamic duo, Jay-Z and Beyonce.
That's fair enough.
Right. My to close out this question, my answer was Kanye West. I just think that whether you agree with him or disagree with him, he's been consistent in tapping into some form of consciousness that's currently not available to the masses. And I think the latest thing that he did in terms of Black people with the whole, you gotta realize how much of a slave Black people, those who vote, are to the Democratic Party. And for him to come and tear apart, I don't think nobody here is a Trump supporter, but for him to come on the scene and completely tear apart the Democratic Party and completely make Black people, remember Jay-Z and Beyonce, they was dancing with Hillary Clinton. So here comes the only entertainer that was bold enough to say, nah, we're not dancing for Hillary. I don't agree with him with Trump, but nobody was that brave, bro. That's like career suicide to say that you're not a Democrat and you Black. But this dude came on the scene.
That's what I'm saying.
George Bush came on. Yeah, it started with that. Yeah, he came on, and that's why I said. And that's why I got to give it to him. That's why I got to give it to him, Blue. I mean, he's been doing it for he's that consistent. So I got to give it to the brother Kanye. And before the whole him tearing apart the Democrats, remember he came and said, "I'm God." Now, if I don't know if Hov or him started saying that first. But he started wearing the pharaoh pieces around his neck. He started saying, "I'm God." They came out with the Watch the Throne album, him and Jay-Z, with all the symbolism and stuff like that. So I definitely got to give it to Kanye for going the whole decade and being, you know, controversial consciousness.
Kanye became every religion.
Christian, yeah, he's Christian now. He ended the year the Christian. But we're not going to talk about that. Yeah. In terms of health is wealth. Health is something that we all need. We've all had personal things we had to deal with health throughout our lives. It could be something as simple as the common cold. But we all experience how important health is in our lives. So in terms of a speaker in our community, go a full decade dropping it on health to the people and to the masses. 2010 to 2019, who would you say stood out the most? I'm gonna start with Blue Pill on this one.
I mean, I'm definitely gonna say Dr. Sebi, because he still controls the narrative from the grave to this day. You know what I'm saying? People are still trying to come up with excuses to eat broccoli and carrots and things that he totally disrupted that genre, and he set the rhythm, you know what I'm saying, for what is to come for the next, I would imagine the next decade, like it's going to be very hard to unseat him, and he's not even here. So when you look at somebody who has a magnitude, and he epitomized the rise, you know, this past 10 years, which started with King Simon reintroducing him to an audience on November 14, 2009, when he brought him to Brooklyn. That started his reintroduction, and he just came just in time for the internet, because we got him on Blog Talk, and then from his Blog Talk run, YouTube came, and it was a wrap. You feel me? So he's bigger in death than he was in life because of the internet. So he epitomizes, you know, what it really means to utilize that internet in that particular means and fashion, as opposed to, let's say, a brother named Dick Gregory. You know, Dick Gregory's been gone for 1 or 2 years, but he didn't leave product. He didn't have an impact on people's dietary choices in real time. So we don't mention him that much. Only when things like Umar happens on the Breakfast Club or Claude Anderson, we like, damn, that's the new Dick Gregory. You feel me? But Sabi, and look at CMOS, you know, what's the story of 2019? CMOS, goddammit. If not Nipsey Hussle, like every story that you can juxtapose and go back to somehow is tied into Sabi. You feel me? So yeah, hands down.
King Simon?
Sabi, and then in connection to, I love what KT did. I love what KT been doing. His brother, he's along the family line. As far as underground now, I'm talking about underground elder that's kept the books rolling. Dr. Africa kept the books rolling. He kept it rolling. He's still keeping it rolling. And so I say KT because they've been above ground and on the internet strong. And KT looks like he's just defending, even though the family wasn't even defending yet until after Sabi really transitioned. KT was still boxing, and Dr. Africa on the third level was still writing, and still showing respect to Sabi.
Indeed,
I'm a different person than him. He was good at what he does, and I'm good at what I do.
Indeed. Sonetta, you go next.
Yeah, I would say, you know, Phil Valentine and all these greats that came before all of them, they laid down the blueprint. I would definitely, right now, in this day and time, I would have to give it to KT, hands down. He lived this health stuff day in and day out. You see what I'm saying? This is not somebody who deals with so many different topics. When you talking about health, he goes automatically to health. And of course, like King Simon said, Dr. Lahila Africa, Phil Valentine, these are the fathers that brought in this health stuff. And so I would say KT definitely picked up the torch. And I got to run with KT on this one, man. That he's about that life. KT, the arts degree, is definitely about that life, man, with this.
Indeed. One. Black Dot?
Yes, it's going to be Sabi/KT because I thought Sabi passed the baton to KT.
There you go.
KT has the ability to reach a younger audience, and he's got a little hip hop swag in it.
Yeah, it is.
So the information becomes a little bit more receptive. When you see Sabi as an elder, you have to be on that frequency to even understand, but this information has to be translated and curated and made palatable for a brand new audience. I felt Phil Valentine and approach was a little bit different because he didn't necessarily deal with the herbs, and he dealt with psychosomatic, your whole mental vibration, and understanding certain things that you need to do to raise the vibration so that disease cannot match your frequency. And Layla Africa, the Nutricide book, was the first book I ever bought on health, and it changed my life in terms of understanding what melanin was and how important melanin is interfaced with the common diseases that they're attacking us. If you don't understand that they're attacking the melanin, you're missing major points. King Simon?
Rich, can I make an honorable mention to Queen Afua? Because Queen Afua is still on it. She's still working.
Absolutely.
And she's developing women into saving their vaginas and all that. I got to.
Absolutely.
Honorable mention, because Queen is, you see amongst Lori, Nipsey's wife. She's there with Erykah Badu. She's there. I got to give her honorable mention. As far as the sisters are going, you got to say Queen.
And I have to do the same thing. And I failed to mention. I failed to mention Brother Polite. Definitely, I have to throw in Polite, man. I don't know how I forget Brother Polite. Got to mention Polite. Go ahead.
No, definitely. I feel you. I got to go with Dr. Sebi with as far as health. I don't think he was as consistent as I would want him to be. Would have wanted him to be while he was alive from 2010 to whatever year the brother made the transition. I think King Simon kind of, reintroduced him on the scene in New York. I remember seeing a lot of his old videos, but I know for a while I think he was kind of absent from the lecture scene. And I didn't hear much from him from what I remember somewhat.
Building the village.
Okay, that's cool. Well, we're not talking about that though. I'm talking about who had an impact every year. So he was making an impact. That's cool. I'm just talking about as far as him.
You said from 2010 to 2019, right?
2019, yes.
How long was Sebi around? He was introduced into Blog Talk. You knew about him since 2010. So when did he not be consistent for your likings? Because he popped up on the scene back doing lectures in 2010. So we talking about 2010 from 2010 to 2019. So when was he inconsistent in between that period? Because he died in 2017.
Like I said, you could say he's on the scene and you could say he popped up and he made Blog Talk interviews and this and that. I personally would have liked to see him more. That's all I'm saying. Now we could do a whole nother video on that.
Okay, that's
I don't know if you offended by me saying that.
No, I'm asking you to qualify what you said because I didn't register. I'm like, he did a lot of lectures between that time period. And
I agree with Blue Pill. I agree with the Blue.
When did you introduce Sebi on the scene again? And that
09, November 14th, 2009.
09.
So from 09 to let's say 2015, do you think he did lectures? Was he doing lectures every year that year or writing books every year that year or something?
He don't write books and he don't do lectures.
He wasn't a writer.
That's not what he do.
So that's on him. Dr. Africa, I would say, had books. Dr. Africa came in second to me, but I think he got
different. That's what I'm saying.
Lost.
You comparing him against criteria that you can't compare him against because that's not what he do.
It don't matter. Listen, I'm talking about overall. Now, let me explain this to you, Blue. When you say overall, there may be 10 categories. Just because he mentioned 4 categories don't mean somebody else has those 4 categories. So when I say overall health, maybe a good writer on health in terms of books, maybe a good speaker, maybe you building something on health. There's different categories with health. Sebi don't have all. I'm sorry if it offends you. He don't check everything off, brother. That's all it is. That don't mean Dr. Africa don't. That don't mean KT don't. It is what it is, brother. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that his products, people started complaining about them a lot toward the later years. There was a lot of confusion.
They was compromised.
Whose fault is that, brother? Whose fault is that? Is that my fault? I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's move on, y'all. Let's move on, man.
I'm talking about your message to the masses. That's what I'm talking about. It got kind of confusing toward the end. So that's what I'm saying. I wish there was a lot more clarity. Huh? No, he did. I agree. No, he did. I agree. But that's why I gave the answer I gave. You know what I'm saying? It was real confusing with that whole situation. But let's move on to I don't even think no, I did say okay, yeah. They said then who rich? I did say yeah. Let's move on to debating. Since it's been whether we like the debates or we didn't like the debates, no matter how controversial it was a major part of consciousness in the last decade.
Right.
The majority of it via Sarnetta, who a lot of people called the last decade Don King. And that could be seen as a compliment or that could be seen as an insult. A lot of people, it depends. But Sarnetta, the Don King, I want to start out. No, I want you to go last since you
Man.
You're accused of creating all of this chaos with the debates. A lot of people looked at it as though that wasn't a good way to teach the people in the way you was doing it. I'm gonna start out with saying my best debater for the decade, hands down, Brother Polite. I'm gonna say hands down, Brother Polite. I think Polite just came with an energy and a charisma. And once again, fam, this has nothing to do with Polite scamming, his alleged scamming, or anything else the brother was involved in.
Yeah. So what's the criteria for the debaters, since everybody else got all these criteria and checkpoints? Since
I think what you gotta understand, Blue, is I'm asking. All right, let me answer this. This is a great answer. I want you to listen closely. What you gotta understand is that I'm asking your opinion, so you have your personal criteria, my brother, and therefore I can't get mad at your personal criteria, and you can't get mad at my personal criteria. That's why it's called an opinion, brother. It's your opinion with your personal criteria.
But I asked you, I said, what is the criteria for the debaters, since everybody else had these invisible boxes that we had to check off that we didn't know about? Since you excluded us saying, oh, you can't judge a person because they're a scammer.
No, I said I wasn't judging. I didn't say you. No. Don't put words in my mouth. I said me personally, okay. I'm not judging him based on the scam. Sonetta, King Simon may judge him based on the scamming allegations. Me personally, I'm just dealing with the teaching. And I'm saying the teaching, as far as his debating skills, makes him the best debater of the decade. Now, the best moral person of the decade, he may not make the top 20 in my list. If we're talking about best moral, even though I don't have hardcore evidence against the brother, but I'm just talking about debating. But with that being said, I'm gonna end that with the debate. And let's go to you, Blue Pill, with the debater. Who's your best debater? Your personal criteria.
I'm saying it's hands down. Like, who else established themselves in the realm of debating but Brother Polite? Who else has a track record that we could even? Because what do we say, or what do we always say? Well, you got like 1 or 2 debates. Once you finish, it's a wrap. So we don't even see people who have returned and, you know, like on some boxing, on some Larry Holmes or, you know, Muhammad Ali shit. They get knocked down and that's a wrap. Even the dudes that win get finished. You feel me? It's an all-encompassing energy, but Polite is he's the undisputed champion of debates. That's what he do.
Dot, you want to go next, Dot?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that because first of all, I like to say the winner of every debate is not the people debating each other. It's the audience who has an opportunity now to weigh the information and hopefully they learn something. Right. But debating is very similar to battle rap. You have to have stage presence. You have to have performance. You have to be able to cater to the crowd. And I think nobody did that better than Brother Polite. Now, from a studious standpoint, the person who I think could have really, if they chose to, be the king of that realm was Dr. Wesley Muhammad, because of his ability to study, and he has that articulate method of peeling everything back and meticulously speaking, but he couldn't perform the knowledge, if there's such a thing, where Polite was a performance in front of the crowd as well. And in this era, it doesn't just boil down to the knowledge. We wish it did. It boils down to your performance. So hands down, Brother Polite. Showtime.
Definitely, Brother Polite being his entertainment. That's one of the top. I like that he said Wesley Muhammad from intellect, but one who could have given Wesley a run was Natural Tahuti until he got into prison. Natural Tahuti was entertaining, informational, and he brings up, but enough respect to Natural Tahuti.
Remember that lecture? That was
legendary with him, and that I'm just saying that I think Polite brought the whole Mayweather fansphere, the whole thing. But when you start going down intellectual stuff, who came into community, Wesley Muhammad, but Tahuti could have held a lot. He could have held a lot if he didn't get.
Dang it.
You know what I'm saying? Hands down.
He had an interesting debate style.
Yeah, he had an interesting debate style for real. As Sarasu said, I can't front. He rocked Aline Bay. He rocked. He He rocked him though. But that was
that
time when he did Aleem. That was the superb form of Cyrus Suit and Seti. After that, I don't. But
Bro, some people say he rocked Polite. I was there.
Woo!
He turned that place inside out and upside down.
Oh no, you know what? Bruce right. Yo, that's the worst I seen Polite. Polite wanted to fight the crowd. Remember him and the security? Sonetta, you remember? They wanted to fight.
You said, "Do I remember, bro?" I stepped on top of the damn desk. I was on top of the chair.
Polite was so off his square that night. He wanted to fight the crowd, bro. He looked horrible that night, bro.
He shook him.
well, let me tell you.
Let me say this. Let me say this before you speak, Sonetta. That don't mean he's not the greatest. I've seen Muhammad Ali, who's the greatest, not be on his shit for one night. I've seen Michael Jordan, get bumped from the playoffs. So that don't mean Polite wasn't the greatest, because even the greatest, I think Loaded Lux is the best battle rapper of all time. But Mook got him that night.
Mook beat him. Yeah,
so you have to take all of that into consideration.
So I agree. I agree with all of y'all, man. Brother Polite, hands down. But just like Black Dot said, even the best get whipped on bad days, man. You know, Michael Jordan, he get beat on bad days. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm talking about is we got to admit, I already said it. Polite lost 2 battles. Polite is the best of all time, but he lost 2 debates. I told Polite this to his face. He ain't losing to Zariak. Come on, man. He whipped to Zariak's butt.
Seti and who?
He lost to Cyrus Suit and Seti, and he lost to Malik Zulu Shabazz. If you go, no, listen to me. You got to go and look at the topic and look at that debate. I was there, brother. He lost to Malik. He lost to Malik Zulu Shabazz. How you gonna beat a real lawyer that's in there that's doing this law? Malik Zulu Shabazz whipped Polite butt. He spanked him in there. Yo, you know what? I'm gonna revisit that and I'm gonna throw that up and let the people see that again. He kicked his butt up in there.
I didn't see
Maybe I'm just saying Cyrus Suit and Seti and Malik Zulu Shabazz because I represent Black Power. You know what I'm saying?
I heard Malik Zulu Shabazz say out of his mouth once that Polite had beat him at that time.
Nah, he was just being humble, brother. He was just being humble.
Being humble?
But yeah, he was just being humble. But Malik Zulu Shabazz definitely bust Polite butt. Hands down. And I told Polite that. But Polite by far is the best debater. And number 2, my number 2 top debater would have to be Cyrus Suit and Seti. I'm saying Polite because he had more debates. Had Seti had more debates, he would have been up there with Polite in that number 1 slot. But I would have to give it to Cyrus Suit and Seti, my number 2 debater. And my number 3 debater, hands down, would have to go to Dr. Ali Muhammad. A lot of y'all sleep on Ali Muhammad. That's a bad boy when he get into that ring. You see what I'm saying? Whether y'all agree with his information or not, Ali and Black Dot was right and exact. It's not about the information. It was built just like the battle rap scene. It's about who can do the most entertainment. Remember Rakim, how could I move the crowd? First of all, ain't no mistakes allowed. So this is what he did. Polite moved the crowd. When Polite come in with a robe on, and you know what I'm saying? And he'll have on the boxing gloves and he come down the aisle. That's entertainment. And the light, the light will be on Polite as he coming down the aisle and the crowd will be going crazy. You know what I'm saying? I remember another time when he took on Harry Rosenberg. Was it Harry Rosenberg? No, it was the Hebrews. He brought in the coffin, dude. He brought in the coffin. And Loaded Lux and all of them was carrying the coffin in the house. Like, yo, this is the dead body of the Hebrews. I mean, he killed it. So Polite, hands down, man. What's up, King?
I got to make an honorable mention, please. Dr. Khalid Muhammad overall.
Oh man, you already know, man.
I gotta give it.
You already know. Khalid is the best.
His birthday coming up. I gotta shout him out.
Yeah, Khalid.
Yo, quick side note, Sonetta, didn't you tell me Khalid lost to a Christian preacher one time?
Hell no. You must have had a dream, Rick. You must have had a damn dream, boy.
What's his name?
Chuck Singleton.
Chuck Singleton. Somebody told me he lost that debate. I think it was Sonetta, but he won't admit it right now.
It was a Christian that told you that.
Yeah, Rich. Nah, it was a dream. It was all a dream, Rich.
Hey, Rich, let me add this. Real quick.
Yeah.
I believe had he stood around longer, young Pharaoh would have been able to come into that ring. He was charismatic. He was young. He was fiery. True. He may have, had he stayed around, been able to take down some of the greats because he had that look in his eye. He just didn't get a chance to get in the ring enough and build his legacy.
Young Puff.
So
let me say this real quick. I have learned so much from the debates. I know what to do now. I know what not to do. And the debates are coming back. I already brought it back with Curtis Koss and the Amon Ra squad going up against the PhDs and the doctors. And yeah. And so now the debates is coming back. I got Brother Jabari in March. He's going up against Garfield. And that's going to be powerful. Garfield is going to be a doubleheader. It's going to be a two-way card. Oh, shout out to the Red Pill in the building. So yeah, man, this is going to be powerful. The debates.
For the next decade, all I want to tell you, brother, is we need quality debaters, man. You be finding some of these dudes like in the alleyway or something. And
That's what I do. That's what I do, Rich.
Bro, come on, brother.
Listen, hey, Rich, hold on.
Conference, bro.
I tell you what we can do, Rich. I tell you what we can do, Rich. I tell you what we can do. Watch how scared you get. You get one of your spooks, and I get one of my boys, and we put them up together and see what happens. Get your man. What's homeboy name? What's my man name that you just did your last joint?
Billy Carson.
Get Billy Carson, and I get somebody to take on Billy Carson. Now,
Billy Carson is more. Remember, Billy Carson is well traveled. Most of the Negroes ain't well traveled. You talking about?
Yeah, but Billy, it don't matter if he well traveled or not. Billy Carson said some crazy stuff dealing with Kemet, bro. He said some real spooky stuff.
You can't debate the unseen realm, Sarnetta.
Yeah. Oh man, here you go, man. Sarnetta. Now you getting pseudo on me, Rich.
It's not pseudo, brother. It's common sense, brother.
Okay.
It's common sense, brother. If you have an inch of spirituality, you know there's things that you cannot see that are real, brother. We all have a gut instinct. Sarnetta, you ever had a gut instinct?
Of course.
Do you know if you told these goddamn fools that you roll with about a gut instinct, you know they will, oh, that's pseudo. How can you know? How is that real? Prove it to me. Show me the facts. Show me this. Brother, there's just things that exist within us that we can't prove with the white man's methods, the so-called white man's methods, brother.
I tell you what, Rich.
How you going to produce a gut instinct on paper to me, brother?
Get your best. Get your best, Rich. Get your best, and I'll get somebody. But you know what?
I can't. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. All right.
I know you would.
I would never do that.
But why don't you introduce your next guest that just popped up in the scene, man?
Shout your Red Pill. You can hear us, Red?
Of course. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We having a great conversation about the last decade in consciousness. Blue Pill was about to chop my head off for not saying Sabi was the best health brother with consciousness.
No, bro. I don't direct your evaluation. I'll just ask you to qualify what you're saying.
Sorry, Blue Pill.
So the world is watching. That's all I'm saying.
Sabi's the greatest in the world, dog. But Red, I'm glad to have you on here. You done missed a good portion of the broadcast. I guess you could add into our last what I want you to add into let me see. Who would you say Red Pill, because you're playing catch up right now? Who was the best?
I'm not playing catch up.
All right, well, who was the best debater of the decade? Because that was just the last question. Just real quick, not long, Red Pill.
I don't know. That's not what I'm into. So
all right. So
based on your observation, bro, because you were there at those debates, you know what I'm saying?
Who put on the best polite?
All right, yeah.
All right, moving on, Red Pill. Who was the best esoteric speaker in the last decade, Red Pill?
Esoteric speaker?
Esoteric
like
slash occult slash metaphysical.
Bobby
hasn't been around the last decade, brother.
He still impacts.
So you're saying just off impact? That's
still
strong.
Impact. He's still his name is still top tier.
All right, okay, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Panic would be an honorable mention, but I'm going with the teacher. I'm going with the master teacher. I'm going with I do, top tier.
All right. So who's your best health speaker? the last decade? Most impactful, consistent, whatever, you know, all of that good stuff.
Top tier still. Nobody took him down. Nobody's dominating the conversation like Dr. Sebi. He's more relevant in 2020 or 2019 than he was when people was ignoring him. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Because he was ignored by the community. Let's be clear.
Let's be clear.
Let's be very clear. He was hated on by the community and he was ignored. Shout out to King Simon for pushing through the noise.
Yes. Yeah.
People don't want to talk about that, but we'll talk about it.
And Mr. G, shout out to Mr. G. Also
to who?
Mr. G.
Who also supported him after.
Legend.
Oh yeah, shout out to Mr. G. Get his book, y'all.
Yeah, shout out to Mr. G. Another one.
This is like Black Jeopardy. This is like Black Jeopardy. Let's go.
Who's your pick for top? Let's say entertainer for the decade. Who used their platform? They don't have to be a straight conscious entertainer, but they somehow found a way to put consciousness in their message and impact the world within the last decade in a huge way.
Can you qualify that a little bit? So I'm clearer on that question. Entertainer, like from the industry?
Yeah. Just the entertainment industry. It could be acting, it could be the music industry, it could be whatever, but just somebody, because you know entertainers have such an influence on the masses, and they
the influencers.
Yeah, they're the influencers. So who do you think use their influence in a clever way to influence the masses the most in a decade? And they don't have to be conscious per se, but they somehow did something that was conscious.
The Breakfast Club. And I mean, that just shows, you know, how much we need to work. But I would say the Breakfast Club was the most impactful entertainment platform that exposed the world to multiple teachers and kept it like they didn't. The reason why Vlad is discredited because he discredited the people that he brought on after he brought them on. And he can't even be in this conversation because of who he is, you know what I'm talking about? But I would definitely say the turnaround that we see in Charlemagne, who 10 years ago, if I would have said that, y'all would have kicked me out of the community. I would have got smacked up. I would have been a goofy for saying that. What's Sinetta's favorite word? I would have been pseudo if I said Leonard is going to be, you know, one of the one of the he's going to be he's a caretaker, he's a curator of consciousness.
Right. What I said you go to school you got school from 8 a.m.
Oh no,
and then you got the Breakfast Club.
Because hold on, Tariq Nasheed is coming in as an honorable mention. It would be Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors and the Breakfast Club. Now we would have to debate which one is more impactful, and I would have to say Hidden Colors.
Really?
I think Hidden.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. That's interesting.
I mean, considering, right, he did 5 of them. Right. And the people that he brought out are the ones that the Breakfast Club picked up, right? Not everybody.
Okay.
But when you see Umar, when you see Dick Gregory, when you see even Wesley, a lot of the people, because remember who Charlemagne is getting his talking points from, and remember who he's getting these names from to put on his show. Mm-hmm. Let's be clear. Sinetta, no. You know, I would say that the Hidden Colors would be the entertainment, you know, if it's not completely, you know, all conscious, it would definitely be that platform of the documentary series.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was thinking on the sense that the Breakfast Club is continual. They always doing something.
No, they are consistent. That's true. They are consistent. They're very consistent. Yeah. And in terms of, you know, they keep it updated, you know, and they have a bigger audience to me than the Hidden Colors documentaries. Okay. Because they're going to the knuckle draggers and everybody is not watching Hidden Colors. It's a knuckle dragger just off the rip.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they do deserve an honorable mention. I was listening to Claude Anderson and I just let it play. I was doing a lecture, so the TV was playing. Like they had 7 to 8 back-to-back episodes top tier, high quality information, finances, credit, history. I mean, it was people I had never even heard about. I'm discovering new people on the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, hold on. I want to change my answer. It's the Breakfast Club over Hidden Colors. Thank you, Blue Pill. I have to change it because I'm just thinking about it. He got people that we don't even know. King Simon, Sinetta didn't interview these people, so who are they? And they got bars. You could tell that they're good students. They've been listening to the community.
They got background. They got like it's crazy. It's a whole new. You discovering a whole new world by way of the Breakfast Club. That's so unexpected, which makes it so dope. Right? Shout out to them.
Yo, Red,
Red,
could you push mute when you're not talking? Because we can kind of hear it. Yeah, just when you're not talking, Red, because we can hear the airport. My brother Red Pill is in the airport. He just came back to New York, so I appreciate the brother for even making the show. Because he didn't have to. He could have just went straight home.
Rich.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that when Sabi lost a lot of his data and information, that Polite gave him 25 racks off the rip.
Oh, I did not know that. Mr. G told me that.
Yeah.
Mr. G told me that.
Gave him off. And
me and Mr. G had a long conversation about Dr. Sabi and Brother Polite. Things that I didn't know. I thought Brother Polite was fronting, but he confirmed a lot of things about Dr. Sabi and the brother.
I was there, right? That's when I was there.
Indeed. I want to know. I want to take a break from the top this and the top that. And I want to get into this whole, the decade pretty much started out with everybody talking about 2012. I want to know, do y'all think, looking back at it now, how real was the prophecies of 2012? I'm sure Sarnetta would say it was bullshit, and y'all might say something different. I'm not sure. But how real do you think, looking back at going into 2020, and everybody said the world was going to end 2012, how real was what we all was looking forward to with this whole 2012 prophecy, looking at it now? Let's start out with Red Pill, since you just came in, my brother.
All right. 2012 prophecy was about the apocalypse. And the quote, if you do the research about what the people don't do the etymology on apocalypse, and it was the end of times. The times that they were talking about was the Maya, the illusion. So we just said that the top conscious or the top entertainment platform was the Breakfast Club. That means that the veils are being lifted. Things that the illusion fell apart post from 2012 going into 2020. We've continuously see the veils lifted and the illusion fall in front of us to the point where we might see white Jesus in a few days pop up. You know what I'm talking about? Like it's the prophecy is about the illusion. And I think that the illusion is fallen. Babylon is fallen as predicted. The mass awakening that was predicted has taken place. They mask it in the word of woke. If they didn't have woke, if they didn't have all of these other titles to mask the grand awakening and everybody was just conscious, you would really see what the fuck is, there was an infiltration and all of this stuff, it got broken up. But the real numbers are in the multi-millions of people who are on a higher frequency, who was not vibrating on that frequency pre-2012. You feel me? So in that sense, and then the great empire that we know as America, that's fallen. It's not what it was before. The stocks on that is crashed. We go around the world, the dollar is dead.
All right, I want to get to the rest of the panel. Let me just say real quick before I pass it off. I'm an 80s baby. I was born in the 80s. So the world as I know it has pretty much been the same from the 80s to around 2010, 2011. I feel as though the whole world changed from 2010 to 2019, and shit's just so different now from what it was that's like the old world. Sometimes I call it the old world, my old life. Like everything from, we've seen industries come in and just completely reshape the way we live. the taxi industry. We've seen YouTube just completely change the entire world. People don't even go to college no more because they feel as though they could just go to YouTube and become a graduate of YouTube University. So I just feel as though from 2010 to 2019, the entire world changed. So even if the prophecy wasn't true in a physical sense, like the brothers in the esoteric realm teach us, in another way, in another realm, if the world really did end, our whole world really did end, and I think it's a whole new paradigm. Bob Proctor talks about it. I hear the brother Blue Pill and Red Pill, 19 Keys and all of them talk about the paradigm shift and all of that. And I just think that it's a whole different world we live in now than it was in 2009. Sarnetta, you could go next, my brother.
You could pass that. I'll pass that on.
All right, Black Dot?
Yeah, I agree. The world has changed. Everything that we thought we knew is changing, and we are the ones who are bringing about the change. So because the past, present, and future do exist simultaneous for us, we understand the significance of paradigm shifts, and our energy moving forward brings about this change. So in the last 7 years, you have seen we're in like a quickening. So things that maybe took longer times to develop are happening in real time for us. We're in real time, and these changes have come about. Our elders also taught about us, our Milky Way moving to the galactic center, which 2012 was only the starting point, and we wouldn't reach that galactic center until 2019. So we have a tendency to think things are happening instantaneously, but they're happening over a course of time. And now leaping into 2020, we will see the benefits of the change, but we are the ones who bring about the change. So the Mayans weren't lying.
Hold on, no, chill.
Blue, real quick, please. I have to share observation, and Black Dot just sparked my mind. Fam, if you was to remove all of the panelists that are on the show tonight, right? Black Dot, for his contribution of what he's done as a master teacher via the culture that's dominated hip-hop. Sarnetta, for what he did with Sarnetta TV, with the lectures, with the videos, with everything. Brother Rich, Underground Railroad, going all the way back to the Bobby interviews on Blog Talk, all the way up to what you're doing with Black Magic 363. King Simon, for putting on some of the most monumental historical lectures ever that we've seen in the city. Red and Blue Pill, KTL Radio, what we contributed through the radio show, going all the way up to jumping on platforms and doing what we do, and Know the Ledge Media. If you remove all of our contributions and all of the people that we woke up and everything that we've done by being wonderful students, master students, I'm talking about 75% of the people who are now enlightened and vibrating on a whole nother frequency. You got to understand the power of what we're doing in transformation, not just changing lives, changing paradigms. If you were to remove that, we would see a vacuum in Black America. So what's rocking with that? And I'm not being egotistical. I'm just making an observation about the power.
Okay. Blue, you want to go?
Yeah, a few things. 2012 was the end of, like the brother said, it was a particular calendar frequency, and the Mayans or the teachers that we were researching, Jose Arguelles, was speaking about false time and the false calendar system. They also said that the light takes 4.4 years to reach the galactic center. So 2012 was really 2016, but in the Ethiopian calendar, 2012 is 2020. And Wayne Chandler put a post up the day after Christmas saying we have finally got into that photon belt that Black Dot is talking about. So we're in a different part of the galaxy, the dark center, right? Getting all of that energy that's coming from Sagittarius A that they discovered on May 21st, 2001. This is what Bobby and them taught, right? So we're talking about continuing the work of our master teachers, having our finger on the pulse of time, being studious students enough where we're able to do the unfinished works of our elders. So yeah, you better believe it. 2012 is alive and as well in us.
And I'd like to say that at a certain time when I was in the clubs, what sparked my mind that this 2012 thing was coming, that is when Prince did 1999. he woke up a lot of people to think to the 2000s what was coming, because on a quantum level, these things come in gradually. It came in gradually, just like we see the sunrise coming gradually and goes out gradually. So Prince, then he died 17 years later. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of, the mathematics, but 1999, he really shocked everybody, especially out in the club. And I'm playing this and having people rock, but people are not listening to what Prince is saying, because he's very analytical, being born under that Gemini 7 energy. He's very he analyzes things. He's very meticulous of what he. So that 1999 was the start of going into 2000, where we've seen all the femininity start coming in, all that feminine energy, the perversion of masculine and feminine going in. All of this is coming to build up to 2012 and going into 2020. This is all happening in this gradual. So everybody was right on the panel. Of course, Sarnetta dropped out, but everybody was right on the panel. But I seen it in the club from 1999 when we was all thinking about Y2K.
Right.
Think about it. Think about Y2K. I was with Aton Edwards doing security. I left the club gig to go do security with all our gear.
Got the Batman suit on.
You know what I'm saying? We were in our gear. So you disaster preparedness gear, but he knew that it wasn't going to go down like that. And guess who got knocked out the box during that time when it didn't happen? Tony Brown. Tony Brown's journal. We ain't looking at those other things that didn't, because he was kept on talking about this Y2K and didn't know that they were going to hook up the computers and make sure it keep on going. But I looked at it from 1999 all the way to now. So I thank everybody's contribution. But for me, the club mind, that's what made me even say, let me get back out into the consciousness and start doing my thing. I got to get back. And I left the nation. I left the Nation of Islam under Khalid. After Khalid died, after the 95 Million Man March, I was out. I left, got my Muhammad, and I was out. And I just kept it moving. But, Khalid died and all that started coming to 2001, all that. That's to get Harlem. So they won over Harlem in 2001. 2001. They won over Harlem after they took Khalid. You can see all of this happening.
In real time.
It's a powerful and I commend all y'all that kept it up. Well, cause I was doing consciousness in the reggae world, bringing in the Budus and all those conscious people before he went to jail. So
it could be no 9/11
I was watching y'all. Yeah, what you saying, brother?
There could be no 9/11 with Khalid on the scene.
Word.
You feel me?
Word. It was crazy, but moving forward, go ahead, brothers. Thank you.
Indeed. One more topic I want to, before I ask a couple other questions. First of all, let me see what's going on in the chat room. What is going on? Sarnetta had to leave. Once the information, once we get into Mayan prophecies, Sarnetta Sarnetta I'm out. So Sarnetta had to leave. He's not here right now. So it's all. Now he texted me, why you kicked me out? You just said you had to leave. God damn, brother, let me send him another link. He just told me he had to leave. Real quick, while I do this. Why do y'all, a quick question, and everybody doesn't have to answer this, but whoever thinks, just give me an answer to this. Longevity. Why does longevity seem to be such a problem? What's so hard about, you think, and I guess this could apply to any field that you're in, but we see speakers last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. What is it about a speaker that's able to last a decade or decades that makes them so special? Because I guess we all want to have longevity in our craft, but it seems like some people lose their passion. Some people, it just don't work after. It's like they're on top of the world 1 year, and then 2 years later, they're just not who they were in the last 2 years.
It's really like knowing who you are and why you are. You know what I'm saying? Because anybody that's in metaphysics, like, this is the height of metaphysics. Like, metaphysics don't slow down. So you on a roller coaster ride, there's gonna be an ebb and a flow, but you got to be in it to win it. And this information, this is the gift that keeps on giving because of the news cycle. You're never going to run out of things to talk about. You know what I'm saying? Look at a Valentine. But you also have to be able to craft your message where it's socially relevant enough to the people where they're going to hold on. Because some of these things, if you're forecasting and casting into the future, like Bobby said, a lot of stuff that is just now taking place or kind of happened recently, but a Khaled is in the back, once again, being literal. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, this is not, like, hold on a second. You know, look at Adelbert. If you stuck around, I just had the article posted. It said 2019 was the years that made UFOs official. You know what I'm saying? If he was able to hold on, if Adelbert was still around, his social relevance would be out of the window. But now there's other people that are claiming all of that steam. You know what I'm saying? That he left. So it's just about being able to hold on long enough for your message to catch up with you, especially if you're dealing with prophetic vision. This is not something, it applies to the now, but it has to ripple and vibrate, because people can be standing right next to you and looking at something and don't know what they're looking at. Right? How long was I talking about 44s, and then it had to terraform and manifest in a way in which it becomes undeniable. But I could have fell off years ago.
Jay-Z had to put an album out for your shit to really be solidified.
Yeah,
I was for me, and for me, Black Dot speaking on it. I'm an artist first, so when I started doing lectures, I didn't like to run my rhymes. So I found myself going from city to city, almost putting on the same lecture because of the time constraints. And that bothered me personally because I'm an artist. So I want to paint new pictures every time I hit the stage. And when I couldn't do that, for me, I said, okay, I think I put out enough information. I got 50 DVDs out on hip hop. And even when I introduced chakras and all of that into the hip hop mindset, I knew it would be 10 years before people really caught up, except for us who were studying together. And now I'm reaping more benefits from that than I did 15 years ago. So for me as an artist, I didn't want to continue to hit the stage and put the same show on per se. So I kind of fell back, and now I'm on the internet helping my son out, you know, and having fun doing it.
Legend.
Facts. So Nipsey said, marathon, you understand? Which means in translation that this is about the long run. And in the long run, consistency is key, right? This is not a fly-by-night thing. This is not a get in, get out. The master teachers who we all respect, they made transition in the library, meaning that they made transition still doing this. Sabi in his late 80s, he made his transition, he was still teaching. Dr. Delbert Blair, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, all of our teachers, when they signed up for this, remember, Sabi explained that he had a second chance at life. From his 40s going on to the end of the road, he was living out what? A purpose. So like Blue Pill said, if you find your purpose, we've all been, you know, it's no coincidence that a majority of our teachers been in the pokey before, meaning that they've been in trouble, they've been in things, they've been wrapped up in the underworld. You know, they were trying to find themselves. So your purpose is, once you find yourself, you find a purpose. Some people have a child and they find a purpose in a child's eyes. Some people have awakenings. Some people have near-death experience and they see the light and they come back and they like, yo, I'm lit, literally, and I'm not gonna stop. So this is the long run. There's nothing to do. We're on the earth, y'all. There's nothing else to do but this at this point. What were you gonna do? What were you gonna do? Go back to modeling? What we gonna do? Go back to singing? You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go back on a block? There's nothing left. So there's a purpose that is higher than us. We are all under the influence of the cosmos. And
especially, if you see the effectiveness of it, don't be mad at consciousness because you failed to come out of, you know, you didn't figure out how to commercialize it. So you in the poorhouse, don't be mad at consciousness because it caught on. It did everything that we said that it was gonna do.
That's right.
Certain people position themselves to reap the benefits while others didn't. That's why they fall off.
Let me ask y'all. What was there a point in your lives where y'all said, "Man, F this ish. I'm not." Where you just didn't see that this was working or that this was making sense or that your life wasn't going right, and you felt as though you was going to give up on this whole journey of knowing thyself. And the reason why I ask that is because, like we said, so many people give up after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and it doesn't work. So somebody, for all of us who have longevity in this game, we call life, and in terms of knowing ourselves, was there ever a point where you just said, man, F this, I'm out of here, I'm not dealing with this anymore?
I can speak on. Let me speak on it because
Get Blue. Get Blue.
Out of my social circle, I was the first one in, right? So I had a I couldn't put it down because they was looking at me. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that I was trailblazing for people coming behind me. So I would have set such a bad example if I was to tap out. Now, did I feel maybe like once in my life, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't know what I would go back to at that point. I deep dive so far in that I'm like, I can't go back. It's like burning the boat. I burnt the boat early in my career. I burned the boat with 4 corners before I even got into what y'all call the conscious community. So it's like, where was I was already a target, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I might as well go all the way in. Plus, I'm setting an example for my little brother and them. Like that's right.
Cool, KT.
He trying to play you, Ray.
Yeah, don't put me under the deodorant. Look, you know when people say the statement that you're married to consciousness?
Yeah. I've
been in situations where I was given an ultimatum. It's either me or that shit right there. You understand? I've been in situations where my ribs was touching. I've been in situations where I didn't sell one shirt, standing in Harlem in 35-degree weather, and on the way home with icicles forming in my nose. I'm like, you know what? This is it. I'm throwing this away. I'm going the route of Magic Mike.
Niggas retarded.
You know, so perseverance and pressure is something that we will all feel when we step into this art or into this platform right here, because this is not for the weary-hearted. And one of the things that I did not do consciously, I never weaponized the information. And I put warnings out there to tell people that if you weaponize the information, you're going to friendly fire and kill yourself. So there's a whole pantheon of people who try to take the fast route and went with ego and pride and got bodied on stages and they never got back up. You understand? They never been the same. They lost their aura. They got holes in their aura because the ancestors cursed them. You can't do this. You can't. It's certain ways that you got to move. So I watched all kind of dominoes fall in this. And you know, we've been around for a while, so we've seen people who are nameless that we will never utter their names. We scratched their names off of monuments for the violations that they did in the eyes of the elders, the eyes of the master teacher. Because remember, you niggas is talking about the Watchmen on HBO. No, the real Watchmen is the ancestors watching you niggas be goofy as fuck. You know what I'm talking about? And we know that the retribution is real in this community because people get smacked down every day. So once I realized that I made a choice, that when I was given the ultimatum, I picked consciousness. And I cut ties with the person that was giving me the ultimatum, and I held on to this shit. And here I go.
Yep. I've been in the consciousness since 95 on the scene. So I've been through all the different phases of what consciousness has become. So when you first get knowledge, your chest poked out, your ego, you know some shit most people don't know. You go through that stage of trying to teach everybody you know, and then you get frustrated when they're not getting it. When the wisdom kicks in, you realize that it wasn't their time, because 10 years later, these same people will reapproach you with a greater understanding, right? So you go through that phase. Then I've been through this phase where, I'm dealing with health issues. I got a son who's dealing with health issues. So the consciousness never leaves. It takes on a different manifestation. So even though I'm not in the lectures as much, the consciousness and my teachings and my foundation will never be rocked. So I'm able to move in and out of circles and teach a whole new audience, because the consciousness is not something you wear, it is you. And when you're true to it, Your name is all you have. So you go through all the phases, ups and downs. You make money, you lose money, you're broke, personal, this, that. But the consciousness is the one thing that's consistent. And I teach it to my babies to make sure that they understand they have to think themselves through certain things. They have to have a spiritual connection and foundation to who we are. And I have to thank the elders for that. So I'm never in a bind in life. No matter what life throws at Black Dot, I'm never in a bind because I understand my purpose. And my purpose was defined by the so-called conscious community. And nobody can take that away from me.
Yeah. Can I share something real quick? I just want 1 minute. That when you look at who's still standing and who's still relevant and who's top tier, you have to give the credit to the master teachers. Those of us before the internet was really popping, the way that we benefited is because we got sound teachings and we got a foundation that made us solidify. It was a solid foundation. When we listened to what Bobby told us, when we listened to what Valentine and when the master teachers, that's some of the things that the new teachers did not have. They did not have master teachers.
Absolutely.
They had master leechers, and you could see that the quicksand teachers who fell so fast that they did not stand on a solid foundation because they did not humble themselves and sit at the feet of the masters and become mad. They wanted to jump out there and get views, likes, and a dopamine fix, right? Hopamine and all of that stuff, Black Dot say.
Yep. You know, I remember writing my absentee father a letter in red ink. I'm premising this because he wasn't there, and I wrote in red ink. And those of us who understand when you write in red ink, it's like writing in blood.
Absolutely.
I sent it to my father, and I told him who kept me, or kept the manhood energy in my very soul, from 5% Late Nation at 14, to the Ansar Allah community at 17, to the Nation of Islam I kept on searching for that manhood strength and class, those conscious things to keep my mind right. Because I almost took my life 3 times. And people don't realize that we can go down those roads. And then I left the Nation of Islam in 95, going back into the nightclubs, almost taking my life in the nightclub, realizing that I wasn't satisfied in a nightclub because I was still being pulled back towards the consciousness. So longevity is not an easy road. And I tell a lot of these brothers that it wasn't for the money, because I wasn't making that much money when I was working at SOBs. Only when I did major shows or Urban Plaza and all those kind of stuff. And I still wasn't satisfied, although I was doing all the conscious reggae and still putting in my flyers from different events to get it inside these clubs. Yo, I've being on the street, people don't realize being on the street as a flyer, man, I got spit on or spit at. And had to hold my composure so I don't get arrested on the street to keep the show going. I was conscious, either conscious reggae or I was doing conscious promotion. So people don't know those type of things where people say, man, get that shit out your face, excuse my language. They'll scream that at you in your face at the junction on the street. Brother Richard see me in the cold. Red and Blue see me in the cold and see me out there in and out. I ran into JP and all those guys from Four Corners. Back, Star, when he was writing his magazine. They know me from those days. It's just been consistent. I remember sitting in the train station to show you how consistent you gotta be in this. And a sister that I went to high school said, "You still giving out flyers?" And I looked at her and said, "You still working for the white man?" And I'm not dissing anybody that works for, but my flyer says King Simon Productions.
That's right.
So I had people getting out flyers in the Bronx and Manhattan, and I like being amongst the people. Consistently, although I was chastised and disrespect, I kept a smile on my face giving out flyers. And that was the consciousness that we're in, that all of us are enduring, even while Black Dot is on the bus or Red and Blue them was going through their stuff with Miss Tyson, because I knew Jackie Tyson. I knew those people. You know what I'm saying? Because I was doing the Beanie Mans and all those stuff. So I knew those people. When they said Jackie, I knew Jackie. She used to come to the shows. So I said, yo, seeing everybody, we was all in a close knit. But my man, Black Dot was on the 41 in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I was in Rasmus. I went in Rasmus.
Bro, I remember you from the dance hall. I remember Simon Templar.
Simon Templar. So I was going through all these battles, almost taking my life in Temptations on Church Avenue in Flatbush.
Right, before there was debates, okay?
Yeah.
There was sound clash battles that you had to lose your life.
At Biltmore. We was doing it.
They letting off shots all in the venue every night.
I've been in the shots. I've been in those, but I'm just saying consistently, it wasn't always about money. It's because we love what we do, and if you don't love what you do, you're destined to fall. So you gotta love what you do out there.
I just want to add this in for the record books.
Yes.
That the wave that Sa Neter created on 125th Street saved my life. I never saw a wave like that. I got on 125th Street in 2005. That man's wave and what he did got me up every morning, going on 25th, exuberant to be a part of this. I have to say that.
That's right.
He did something that I haven't seen a lot of people do. You know what I mean? And that has to go on the record. You know, even when it got into, because remember, YouTube wasn't out back then.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah.
So what he did on YouTube, that has to also be respected and put on record and appreciated, that man was very instrumental to a lot of our lives and a lot of our waves and a lot of the things that we did. Because that, you know, you got to give people their flowers.
That's right.
Facts.
Me and him bumped heads and we did what we did, but I learned so much from what I saw out there on 125th Street. That was my purpose. That gave me a purpose. I had a purpose. I had a reason, because remember, I'm addicted to the streets. When you addicted to the streets, it's stronger than morphine. So you need some kind of you need something that's gonna wean you off of fast money. You need something that's gonna wean you off of the rush of the adrenaline of being in the underworld. And he gave me a good mixture. That was a fine mixture, because the underworld was right in front of us. They were selling DVDs and CDs. They was gambling right in front of us. It was lit right there, but he stood on his square. He was a strong alpha. He exemplified leadership, and I learned from him.
All praises due.
That's a fact. You know.
Indeed. Indeed. I was trying to get Sa Neter back on, but it's not letting me get him back on. He wanted to come back on. I want to ask y'all, the word in terms of the speakers and the coming together of the speakers, it's really some of the hardest shit you could possibly imagine in the world. I mean, sometimes I just put lectures together with multiple speakers, and that shit is hard behind the scenes. Like it look good when it goes down, but that shit is super hard behind the scene. So I want to talk to you about this magical word called ego in terms of the speakers. Sometimes I feel as though individuals, they only want Black people to get better or to come together if they're the one doing it. If they're not the one doing it, then they don't give a fuck. But they gotta be the one doing it in order for it to happen, or else they just don't care. I want to talk to you about ego in terms of our speakers and the inability. Let me see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 of us tonight. There were 6 with Sa Neter. The inability for the speakers to unite, is that even a necessary part of the process? Some speakers may say, hell no, unity isn't. But what's your thoughts on ego and lack of unity in the conscious community? And everybody don't have to answer, just if you have something to say about it.
In 2010, January 8th, 2010, me and that brother right there, Red Pill, launched Know the Ledge Radio, right? For the sole purpose of unifying different people that we knew in the community that weren't necessarily going to stand on the same stage or get in the same room, but the radio was different. I have a contingency of people that I communicate and rock with, and Red had a contingency of people that he communicated and rock with. So it's always been like that. And we were able to bring those forces together. And it was so there was no money involved. And because there was no physicality of a person seeing themselves or being seen, you know, Blog Talk was really the platform that you can bring people together and unify them. Plus, you know, you're playing the boards. You know, I'm on the phone with you and I'm on the phone with you. Y'all ain't on the phone with one another. And I'm in the middle making sure that, you know, the clashes don't happen. You dig what I'm saying? So we were able, so I'm saying all that to say that unity is possible because we saw it and we did it in real time. When a celebrity came into it, right? When the observation increased, oh, I'm being seen, I'm on stage. Oh, this is really about my peacock flowers. Oh, right. You shorties in the back. Oh, this is on the internet. Oh, it's comment section. Just, you know, all of that stuff is what changed it, because now everybody has an agenda and no one is really willing to sacrifice their agendas, especially once they learned about the soundbite. You know what I'm saying? Your whole agenda could get derailed by a soundbite. You feel me? So people want to know, oh, who you gonna have on the show with you? Or what questions are you know, you got to pre-send. You know, dudes want you to email her questions, and I ain't never played that. It's like, no, we're gonna go with the energy of impromptu, because if that's not in your spirit as the moderator, how is that gonna proliferate on your platform? You dig what I'm saying? So unity is possible. You just have to have the right people in place that are able to foster unity.
To add on to that, this is Black Dot. You want to go, Red Pill?
No, Dot, you go.
Yeah. Again, when I got behind the scenes to see everything at work, I realized a lot of these grandmaster teachers didn't really rock with each other. Like people don't understand. Bobby and Phil had beef, but it was a respectable beef because they would never out each other. It just was a different in philosophies. Yeah. Now, with that being said as well, I noticed putting on events, certain individuals you had to cater to differently. Like when Dr. Africa, whenever I picked him up, he wanted to go straight to the venue. After he did his piece, he wanted to leave the venue. He didn't want to do a lot of Q&A after the cameras went off, so I knew how I had to cater to him. Bobby was probably the most easygoing one because shit, Bobby is sleep on your floor if you need him to, and he was easy to deal with. Phil was a perfectionist. So Phil did things a certain kind of way. I knew when I had to get the speaker off in front of Phil because Phil was reaching his point where he needed to deliver what he needed to deliver. So you learn how to cater to each individual, just like you would celebrities if you was backstage at a promoting event. Like, King Simon know, this crew need these bottles, this crew need that. It's in the rider. So I learned how to deal with the rider in terms of how to prepare for each and every lecturer. But when I got to see what's changed my perception of all of them is that they were human. So getting behind the curtain, individually speaking to them, you realize that these were regular people and this was their way of life and so forth. So it didn't put them on a high pedestal. So true students of the masters never put them on a pedestal. We learned from them, but we didn't put them on any pedestals. And then like Blue said, once the internet came in and I'm being seen and his views and his comments and there's agent provocateurs in there too, throwing stones, it really changed the dynamic on how we could all come together. And we still, as a community, have not recovered from that shit.
Now, everybody has an ego. What we're addressing,
right? Because I want to. Black Dot got to get up in the morning, so I don't want to be too long. Go ahead, Red.
All right. Everyone has an ego. What we're addressing is inflated egos. Okay. The ancestors, going back to what I'm saying, they didn't carry themselves in such a poor manner. We're talking about character at this point and lack of integrity. And the fact that we give a lot of people 100 passes when they continuously show us that this is how they build. You know, one of the reasons why I hopped into the street in a foreign, I ran to the streets because I saw in the 80s, me and my brother, I was able to see what Dr. Sebi was going through being a teacher, and how ego was just trying to destroy his movement, and how people were sabotaging him left and right, and how people would not come together with him to achieve the main purpose of letting the world know that one of us cured AIDS. I saw that, and it turned me off completely, and I would rather take penitentiary chances and flirt with death before I stood on one of those stages calling myself, they didn't even call it conscious back then. I had no idea that I would even be here to this day, because I was completely turned off as a youth, because I saw fist fights, I saw violence because of jealousy and all kind of other stuff. You know, what I would say now is, moving into 2020, we have to go with the concept of we go. If not, all of the things that we're going to be working for, fighting for, sacrificing for, and doing all of these things, you cannot weaponize, you can't weaponize personalities and information. It don't work. It don't work. People are trying to put lipstick on a pig. It don't work. It's our downfall. It's a chink in the armor. This thing did not have chinks before certain things started happening. Let's be clear. It was bulletproof.
Right. Simon?
Yeah, so
Simon didn't go yet.
Oh no, I mean, most of the promoters and the consciousness before I came back in, they went through a lot of that ego. I didn't really go through too much of the ego. I think y'all already groomed them for me. And I had them ready. I knew what to do. I watched and I paid attention, and I did what I had to do. So everybody else was right.
I'm sure, because I know some back history, you might have had some issues, not you per se, but once you try to put certain speakers together, you found out that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember. I tried to put Ray Hagen and Ashraf Crazy together. After I accomplished putting Phil Valentine and Queen Afua back together. I seen what was happening. I'm not gonna go into how deep that was, but it was what it was. And of course, Ashraf Crazy, and of course, Ray Higgins never happened.
Quick side question before I move on, because I got one last question to close it out. I got a comment and last question. Another side question real quick. Is it just, in an overall sense, is it just hard to put greatness in one area? And what I mean by that is, if we look at basketball, if too many superstars on one team, usually it doesn't work out. And usually the egos get involved. Let's look at music. If there's too many superstars in a group, egos get involved, it doesn't work out. So it looks like even with scientists talk about how they beef with each other all the time. It seems as though when great, amazing individuals are on the same team or in the same area or demographic location, there seems to be problems with them. So is there like a universal explanation for this phenomenon that we see happening in different areas of life constantly?
Miscommunication, right? Miscommunication, because when you look at where are they nows and the unsungs, miscommunication, money mismanagement, and in miscommunication, jealousy arises, and all of these lower self, saboteur. You get that word, the little devil whispering in your ear. I just want to say this, Rich, that I seen great people get rings together. I seen great people go multi-platinum together. So it's about role playing at the end of the day. If we don't define roles, because the reason why LeBron and certain people was working on the Miami Heat together and other teams is because there was a captain. It was defined that he was the captain. And then everybody had a role: center, shooting guard, point guard. So if we don't develop roles, that's why we need a fraternal order. We need order, because the chaos has ensued. And if we don't come up with some kind of fraternal order, niggas is just pissing in the wind. What are we doing this for? So I'm advocating for roles. People need to stay in a lane and know what lane they occupy and develop that lane. And we need to form Voltron because people are powerful in individual lanes. It's when people start jumping in lanes and doing all of this crazy stuff, you see heads bumping. You know.
Okay. Okay. Anybody want to add on to that or?
Yeah, like, you know, shout out to the Shifters, shout out to 19 and them, you know, with the whole We Go concept, we're showing the world that it's possible to share a stage, because I don't think in our community there's been a precedent set. You know, we're very particular about thought leaders being at the forefront of their particular genre or school of thought. They don't really share that stage too much. There's almost always only enough room for one. So very rarely have you seen people share the light. For those that are observing, they see master teachers and students come and knock off the master teacher, you know what I'm saying, whether deliberate or not. So they like, yo, you know, people to get into this, they're looking at it as, you know, they're like, yo, it's a hierarchy. I got to get to the top. And if I gotta partner with this person in the meantime to get next to this person, to bump that person, to step on that person, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where they're coming from the streets. And that's the
Benny Blanco.
Yeah, the Benny Blanco ideology. So we have to see the precedent set of unity where a team is actually winning, not just sharing the stage together, but people are actually winning, and it has to be continuous for a period of longevity, and it can't end up the same way that all of our legends ended up. You know what I'm saying? With them getting ousted by their organization, then getting killed, and you know what I mean, putting a stain on the organization, and people don't want to research no more, all that craziness. Like, this is stuff that we come from, and you were speaking to Dot earlier about it, and Simon was just speaking on that. We came into this community where there was already a level of disunity fostered by the master teacher saying, look, if I was you, I wouldn't go listen to him and sit in his classroom. And other master teachers told us straight up, yo, don't F with this person, don't F with that person. Here's a list of people you can talk to. If I followed that, there would be no level of what we know today as the conscious community. You know what I'm saying?
And I want to add on to that.
Defy my elders in order to plant these seeds.
I want to add on to that real quick. What I noticed about the paradigm shifters is it's sort of like the first 9 borns. If you understand the Nation of Gods and Earth, they had 9 individuals who, and my advice to you guys would be, y'all need to create 9 borns in every city. So every city, because when you have an organization that's small, where everybody can be held accountable, that bullshit don't seep in. It's when you got 1,000 members that the bullshit seep in. So the paradigm shifters should create 9 people or 10, however many is y'all, in every city. This way, when y'all come together, there's no confusion about, because I can check 9 people and say, well, yo, Red, you said you was gonna do that, you didn't do that. I'm holding you to the fire. Black Dot, you said you was gonna do this, you didn't do that. When the organizations are small, everyone can be held accountable and everyone can check and balance each other out. So I really applaud watching the paradigm shifters move about the country as they do. And if for 2020, y'all need to put it out there, just my opinion, that we need you guys to start your chapter of paradigm shifters and always keep it to a minimum amount of members who, when you guys come together, it creates that conglomerate. And I think that would be amazing for 2020.
Facts.
Indeed. I want to end out the show. Wow, what a show, what a show, what a show. You know, before we had this show, we had a heated conversation in my basement. It was me, it was awesome, y'all. It was me, Mama Pill, Red Pill, Blue Pill, KT, 19 Keys, Oracle, and we was all talking about the top speaker of the decade. And I guess that's where I want to take it with the last question, because it was so fiery. We was in the basement, it was so fiery. And I said something that I got everybody fired up. And I guess that will be the perfect way. That'll be the perfect. Blue Pill know what I'm talking about. That'll be the perfect way to end this conversation in a civil manner, of course. But who do you feel as though
you go first?
That's what happened last time.
You go
Blue.
first. Nah,
when I go first, Blue, come for me. I'm gonna go first. Watch this. You remember the basement, Red Bill. You remember
man. Let's stop that.
Yo, you remember the basement, Red Bill.
I know, but you
came for me in the basement, man.
Your platform in front of the world.
Okay.
Do your thing, bro.
All right, so listen. So this is what I'm saying. Honestly, in terms of speaker, and I know Blue Pill was talking about criteria earlier. I have my own personal criteria that I'm basing it on, and I guess effectiveness, I guess longevity, I guess charisma. You know, I got my own things that I look at when I form this answer, and I don't have one speaker that I could come up with and say this person, because to me nobody went the whole decade. They didn't stretch out the entire decade. But I will say there's a tie for me. And this is not, like I said, this is not based on morality. I want everybody to get that. I'm not talking about morality. I'm talking about the ability to be an effective speaker, in my opinion. And I think it was a tie between three speakers. And they all got issues. They all got their own personal things that they're dealing with. But I feel as though Dr. Umar Johnson lasted a long stretch of the decade. He started from the Blog Talk era. And in 2019, he gave probably the best interview I've seen on a Breakfast Club in 2019. So I'm looking at a brother that was in Blog Talk and in the last year of the decade gave the best interview that I've seen.
Before Claude Anderson,
Well, that's debatable, Blue. We're not going to go there, but that's debatable. But so I will say it's a tie between Dr. Umar Johnson. Once again, well, let me say this: Dr. Umar Johnson and Brother Polite. Brother Polite kind of went. Everybody would say Hollywood, and once he went Hollywood, his ability to communicate effectively in the conscious community and to the masses in the grassroots level, it kind of died out. It fizzled out. And his message started getting, it was all over the place after a while. I guess he was trying to cater to too many people at the same time. I don't know. Maybe if that's the right way to say it. But before then, I feel as though Polite was the biggest disruptor. Remember, I told you about technology and YouTube was a huge disruptor. Polite was the biggest disruptor I've seen in the conscious community I ever seen, period. He came in and there was sort of like a poor righteous teacher mindset. He came in with this money mentality, and he came in talking about money so much with all these women. I thought, in my mind, I said, people will never buy this shit. This dude ain't gonna last 4 years. I thought that because the paradigm was the way it was for a certain amount of years, nobody would buy into all this money-ish, and only 3 women, his wife's skirts would be so short that their breasts would be out. And I'm like, yo, this dude ain't I don't know if this is gonna work in this community. And it was disruptive, but it worked for him. And he changed the whole mindset of the way people thought about how women should dress, about how money is, and how our relationship with money, and just about how teachers should look. And he even came in with a new movement.
Face of consciousness.
Yeah, he changed the face of consciousness, Blue. So I would say it's a tie, and they both Leos. Blue is going to this about them being Leos. He could explain it way better than I can. But I would say it's a tie between, and it's what's weird is that they're both being accused of scamming. So that's real weird. Both of them are being accused of scamming at this time. So it's the weirdest shit in the world. But besides that, I would say of the decade, they were hands down the most effective. Go ahead, Black Dot, and go next if you want to, and then go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna take a different approach, but my answer may still wind up being Dr. Umar. My Lifetime Achievement Award goes to Sa Neter. He was able to survive through so many different eras and paradigm shifts. of course, the Hall of Fame, Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine. So I want to remove those elders, Sabi, Blair, and them from this conversation because these are the all-time greats. They're in the Hall of Fame now.
Exactly.
So we're talking the last 10 years. I thought Umar's message was more universal, meaning he could teach on relationships, children, and he catered to a more a universal crowd. Even polite, you had to have a certain acquired taste to gather his information. And Umar hit the road and hasn't got off the road since. So removing all of the scam stuff, because we're talking in a vacuum. I also think November of 2010 introduced red pill and blue pill into the lecture circuit. Prior to that, they weren't. We did blue pill 322, and that set them off again. Our generation was hip hop. So having these other pillars now come through hip hop, I believe that they have survived that time. So it's a conglomerate of young people. But I would say if I had to pick one person, I'm gonna say Umar, but my runner-ups and honorable mentions are gonna be red and blue, because once they got a taste of the lecture circuit and understood their power in the community, they began to deliver some lectures that were unforgettable and some sciences with the law of 44, etc. that was undeniable. So that's gonna be my choice.
Can I veggie bag off that so I can make my case?
Yeah, brother.
I immortalized myself in the span of 10 years and brought to the consciousness of the world a numerical frequency that, to me, we haven't even seen the full blossoming and a plethora. You know what I mean? Like there's just so much more to come with that consciousness that I wholeheartedly, am adamant about, is what they call the God frequency. You know what I'm saying? CMOS. Right? Crystals. Who's wearing crystals? God damn it.
I said the Duke of Tears.
In 2010?
Nah.
Yeah.
He had the Thundercat stuff on. Like, I don't know if we could say that he was wearing full-blown crystals, the whole plethora. People wasn't wearing crystals. And then let's go. So I brought Asan to this community, opened the door for him. I invited Polite in 07, and Simon got him in 09 and brought him into the circuit. You know what I'm saying? He'll tell you that himself, right? Put the thing together in 01 and 02 with Black Dot and Shabazz and Brother Chris for AA, so he won't have to go back to jail for doing robberies. You dig what I'm saying? I said, Joe, if this is what you want to do, then we're going to build a community up and a stage and a platform where this is what you can do. And now look at what it's blossoming into. Introduced Blog Talk Radio in 2010, right? Brought the goal out back in 2010. Brought the first one with alkaline water in the community, or bottled water, period. You dig what I'm saying? And like I said, we're not even fully dealing with the scope of what Know the Ledge Radio for those 7 years entailed, and how many new people it brought into the pantheon of people's consciousness. When you had an issue with Blog Talk and you wanted to get onto YouTube, who did you come to and who did I put you in contact with to jump this whole Underground Railroad thing off with? Dick Gregory, right? So if I was closed fist and I'm like, yo, I don't want people to shine, and no, my open door pillar policy is everybody has to come.
We talking about speakers though, Blue. We talking about speakers.
No. I'm speaking about, you said the effectiveness of those particular speakers through this 10-year span.
Okay.
And I'm saying all of these things go into it because the things that we were speaking about are now mainstay things in society and in the entire world. This is the stuff that people are latched onto. It's not just what you're speaking about on a lecture circuit. My IGTV is my lecture circuit. My Facebook page is my lecture circuit. When I'm out there in the streets, that's my lecture circuit. My fashion is my lecture circuit. So it's a little bit of everything that goes into you being a well-packaged and presented, quote unquote, teacher, you know what I'm saying? Or the package that goes along with that. Remember, you just had that check box and the checklist and all of that. Yeah, I'm checking off all of those things to say, this is why I feel that Red and Blue was the most effective in the last 10 years in terms of cementing the pillars and being the mainstay and I can already tell you what my next 10 years is gonna look like. You dig what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Simon.
Yes, sir. I'm just saying. I thought Rich wanted to say something, but he's coming back.
Talk black to me.
Talk black to y'all. Boy, I got 3 tears. I got 3 tears on this one because I think I agree with all of y'all. But I put them in this segment because, you know, Umar and Polite has utilized their mainstay as far as celebrity to that certain end. Then y'all come in a third to me. But Umar and Polite was right there. But Umar has shaken because he's dealt with children, and that was really something that grabbed everybody. It's grabbing everybody because everybody's concerned about their babies. Period. Really, not too much of what we wear and what we doing, what all that. Everybody, he's galvanized within these last 10 years about the babies. And that was very important. And he did it again on that last Breakfast Club and locking, catching millions of viewers quick. So I got a 3-tier one. Like I said, he said Polite and Umar Polite, and I say y'all made a definitely effective thing of what y'all done so far. From what I've known y'all from the 2009 all the way to now, I've seen the steady growth. So I got to commend y'all. I got to put y'all in. I definitely do. Enough respect. Can't take y'all away.
Indeed.
Right.
All right. Anybody else want to add on? Anything else?
I would, you know, I'm not gonna bet against myself.
Of course not.
Can't do that. But I would say I would be in agreement with honorable mentions is definitely Polite, definitely Umar. You know, without the blemishes on their record, it's a clear win for them. You know, because you know the teachings is that I can't. That shit don't resonate with me no more.
Hold on. Without the blemishes, you talking about the possibility, like they might have been nominated to run against Bush. I mean, a Trump or something like that. Like
facts. And them could have been talk about. You know.
Yeah, these is.
Now, hold on. Because Sabi was taken out of the race, I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna throw it out there that when we were having that basement conversation, we were standing on Sabi being the most impactful in the last 10 years. One of the most, a man who had land, because a leader has to lead you somewhere. If you don't got nowhere to lead the people, you're not a leader. He had land. He did what he said.
These brothers ain't. I'm just talking on speaker. I don't want to call them leaders, and you know that's a big. I just saying.
And
speakers.
Sabi is Hall of Fame, so
that's
why
what
I
I'm saying.
put them in those categories. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. That he's top. He's God tier. He's Hall of Fame.
But you know what's interesting, Red? Real quick comment. Sabi told Mr. G that Polite was the sharpest brother he ever seen in his life, and that he was up next. I had a thorough conversation with Mr. G about that. So the brother y'all look up to Brother Polite. So that's a
don't matter.
No.
Don't matter.
Say that again.
There's no Polite without Sabi. What are you talking about?
Of course not. I get that.
So going back to what I say, I go to the origin. I like to go to the original sources. I'm going to the teacher rather than the student. And that's, like I said, he gets an honorable mention. There's no denying that.
Did y'all even know Sabi said that about Polite? Did y'all know that?
I did.
Everybody? Okay. No, I know you did, but everybody, I didn't know that until Mr. G told me. I had no idea.
They was hiding Sabi from me, so I didn't get to talk to him in his last few years because they would not put him in contact with me. You read the book.
Okay.
You read the book. They blocked him.
Sabi knew what he was exposed to. You know what I'm saying? He don't know the Polite that we know. You feel me? Many of us would have said that, bro. So like I said, like, you know, we can twist the conversation.
He don't know the Polite we know.
To make it sound like what it sound like, but that don't take away. Like I said, I think everybody, with the exception of myself, and I will say it, Umar Polite definitely deserve honorable mentions, even with all of the situations that they're going through. If we're talking about meteoric rises and putting this thing, like, let's say that our generation, you know, dotting us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We perfected the finger roll, right? But them brothers came and they put the nickel on top of the backboard. They did the Earl the Goat. You know what I'm saying? It was different. You never seen that in your life. We will never see it again. You feel me? And I mean, let's keep it a stack. That's why we're so passionate about what it means to us. You dig what I'm saying?
Right.
And I want to add this point real quick to introduce somebody who we haven't mentioned, who I think also deserves honorable mention, is Professor Griff.
Yeah,
in terms of
I'm glad you said that.
In terms of his body of work, him being connected, him really waking all of us up in the 80s and us returning the favor to him. And when he was at his lowest point, because he was the only person who came to get me and take me all around the country. It was only Griff. I haven't done a lecture in New York ever. You know what I mean? So Griff was the one.
That was the trajectory, right? It was Griff, Tag Dot. They ran all around the country.
Yes.
You got Griff, Brother Rich, when he was red hot on the heels of you having Dick Gregory, and it was a rap.
Facts.
Griff was viral before viral was viral.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep. Griff is God's here. Griff is God's here.
So
he's Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's Hall of Fame.
And look, we got to give an honorary mention to Seer the Duke of Tears because he's still effective. He's
a legend.
He's a legend. He has a pantheon of followers. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That he has a cult following.
He was at the 2019 gathering of the Metaphysical Masters. I brought him back to New York. Shout out to our Seer the Duke of Tears. He did a phenomenal job. And then we did a phenomenal interview the day after at the Brooklyn Museum. Shout out to my brother, Darcia, the Duke of Tears, for agreeing to come to New York. It was hard to get him, getting him to come to New York for a lot of people, but I appreciate the brother agreeing to even step in the building with Dr. Valentine and Brother Panic. Monumental day, monumental conference. So shout out to that brother. I definitely agree with y'all.
Rich, remember I was going to bring him by himself.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Why not say it?
And AA gets honorable mention. AA gets honorable mention because he shook this shit up when he came home in 06.
Yeah.
Yo, listen. AA was the original Polite, not in the scamming sense, but in the as far as being
impact.
He
was a disruptor.
Fact. He was a huge disruptor.
Yes, he was.
But by the time he went to LA, he kind of got into other things or whatever, and he wasn't doing as many lectures or whatever. But yeah, AA definitely was a huge disruptor in the first portion of 2010.
Because people are asking this, and we should not end the episode, especially moving into 2020. I'm sure King Simon is going to give us all of the numerical breakdown of frequencies dealing with that. Man, what woman can we say from 2010 to 2019 or 2009 to 2019 that we can, acknowledge for their works? You know what I'm saying? Like, who was the breakout divine feminine energy on the scene that made brothers sit up and be like, I ain't never seen that before?
Well, Blue, the thing is, women wasn't excluded from the conversation. It's just that men dominate the whole lecture circuit, but they were never excluded. King Simon actually mentioned Queen Afua earlier. But if we were just to say women specifically, not
speakers,
but women speakers specifically, I would say Queen Afua hands down.
Look,
seeing what she was able to do, and she continues to do to this day, I definitely say Queen Afua.
The hottest thing in 2010 was penis power. No.
What's her name?
Power.
What's her name? Alexis Tyler. Alexis Tyler. Yeah.
Out of here in 2010.
Listen, I want to give an honorable mention to Zaza Ali, who came in on the back of Professor Griff, and the sister was sharp.
My platform.
And your platform, and the sister was sharp.
Oh yeah.
So,
I'm being prejudiced. I have to mention Professor Griff alongside Zaza Ali because that was a hot ticket. That was the hottest ticket
Yes.
in town at that moment.
Masculine and feminine,
brother
yes.
benefited immensely from the ticket.
Ooh, yo, listen. Zaza, listen. Zaza's one of the sharpest I've seen. She got a lot of conscience. She's a very polarizing figure. But Zaza's one of the sharpest I've seen. Hands down. She's sharp.
Super fact.
Zaza ain't no joke.
Yo, Abundance Child. Abundance Child.
Yes,
when she was carrying that Moorish thing on her shoulders, when she was carrying the sovereignty thing, she was a firehouse. Ras Mariah Bay, firehouse.
Yes.
With the Moorish information and all of the work that she did to get people their licenses and fight them courts, powerhouse. So we could talk about it. You know, Mama Pill, when she popped out.
Oh, that's
power.
Mama Pill is Hall of Fame. Mama Pill,
Hall of Fame.
That's Hall of Fame. You know.
And they was there when we brought Ma out. Ma.
Fact.
She came out. They loved her, and we brought Ma and Queen of Four together.
Powerhouse.
This is the first time ever.
Well, I would say Queen of Four is legend. She's top tier. She's God tier.
Absolutely.
Like
she's Hall of Fame.
God tier. That's not something that we are observing from this time period. We're saying, were there any breakouts? Because we know Zaza came out during that period, and she definitely has to be mentioned. Were there any other women that came out during that time period that you felt the information was paradigm shifting enough where you like, oh, this is different?
On maybe on YouTube, I gotta big up Conjure Queen.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to Conjure
Queen. During 2013? Conjure Queen was out in 2013?
No, she came out recently.
On YouTube, I'm saying she started doing a lot.
No, I thought Blue Man during the time period of Zaza Ali when she first came out.
No, not at that time.
Yeah, I don't remember any.
She's more on YouTube. Never did no lectures like that all in front of the audience like that.
You know, shout out to the the women that are on YouTube doing what they do with the news and the information and holding down the platforms.
Vicky.
I don't know everybody's name, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Shazara, she made this was a wonderful period of time in terms of her reemergence and reintroduction to a new audience. She got rebranded.
Yes, she did.
Shout out to King Simon. He brought her through as well. Of course, we have to acknowledge Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She transitioned during this time period.
Hall of Fame.
Also, Hall of Fame. She had a run. She hit a crescendo right before her transition because of her appearances on Hidden Colors and things of that nature. Is there any other women that we can think of?
Shout out to Joe Pookrum, one of the elders who doesn't do too many lectures too much anymore. But Joe Pookrum was one of those bad, fiery elders.
And a divine feminine name that was ringing from 2010 is Sophia Stewart. She went viral. She kept people interested in the story.
Yes.
She stayed relevant.
Yes.
Brew, because remember we had on when we interviewed her like 2011.
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah, her name is still relevant today, even more so. You know what I mean? So Sophia Stewart gets an honorable mention for being, a divine feminine, the mother. She represented that matriarch energy.
Absolutely.
And she was not playing no games.
You know what I'm saying? So this is her script.
Indeed. Just a side note, somebody I watch right now that's pretty interesting. I want the family to check out. Sister, she got a channel called Lucid Living TV. I want everybody to check out that channel. Actually, people told me to put it on my show.
I think I just got put on to that sister. What's her name?
I don't even know the sister name. I just started watching her stuff.
Somebody put me on her.
They've been telling me about her for like the past 2 months, Blue. I just started watching her stuff, and I'm like, because I see she has 7 on there, 7 Beaumont.
Okay.
And that brother, shout out to that brother. He's been doing his thing for the past decade.
We got to mention him.
Like, it's hard not to, to mention the Billy Carsons and the 7 Bowmans of this world.
Bomar.
Bomar, okay, Bomar of this world, and there are others. There are pages. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's give it the full push. Like there are even meme pages on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? That are a source of a lot of information. I mean, Forbidden Knowledge was a meme page on Instagram before we got to actually. Some of these pages are at the forefront of really waking people up, and not only waking them up, but they are able to galvanize people without having physical lecturers or teachers telling them what to do and how to do it, just from the information of the memes.
That's because crazy. Blue, this is what we have to acknowledge, that we have to acknowledge that the YouTube era spawned their own superstars, but nobody is giving credulence to the Instagram era, because half of the shifters they don't have YouTube channels. King Simon didn't bring them out. They didn't come out from Sonetta, and they didn't come out through Black Magic 363. These people grew out of the gram. There's a whole genre. Derek Grace, Rizza Islam, Brother Ben X, 19 Keys, Pop Darby, Sister Ajna, all of them are Instagram. They utilize the gram to do what? To emit, to create. They have mass followings. They have immense followings. They did not stand on lecture stages. They did not stand with a master teacher to co-sign them. They didn't do any of that. They came through the gram, y'all. Young Pharaoh was the one who kicked that. Young Pharaoh would be the one who kicked that off.
Young Pharaoh's YouTube though.
No, he
was on Side of the Couch. Right?
He came. Okay, no, he came. Okay. He had a movement on Facebook. His name was Sandra Bland. Came through, yeah.
Dope. All right. So with that being said, listen, man, it's been a long show, man. I want to thank all of our guests for coming on tonight. You know, when it's a topic like this, man, it's going to be a fiery show. I want to thank everybody for bringing their opinions as far as, this decade in review. And with that being said,
want to thank you, brother.
Thank you, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We don't get enough of an opportunity.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
the top YouTube platform for the 10 years, hands down, and this is no disrespect to anybody else.
Underground.
I think Red got cut off. Yeah,
I'll finish his statement.
Yeah, go ahead.
The top YouTube channel over the last 10 years is Underground Railroad. Hands down, no disrespect. Because of the level of integrity that has always been kept by Rich. It's undeniable, hands down, that's who gets my vote of YouTuber of the decade.
Rich, you hear that word, integrity?
Yeah.
And how it separates you from everything else?
Yeah, it's funny. Right. The things that separate you from everybody else and make you stand out is the very same thing that you're not using as criteria.
It is weird, right? Because
very weird.
Hold on. Yeah, but so let it be known, brother. We love you like a brother. You know what I'm saying? You one of ours, and that's how we're gonna take care of it. So it's never anything personal. I just want you to understand, as a younger brother of ours, you know what I mean? And you not to put the elder thing, oh, we're your elders. No, we're not your elders. I'm just saying that we have mastered longevity because of our integrity factor, you know what I'm saying? And because we are attached by the hip to our ancestors and our elders, and it's so important. Like they can't jerk me out of that. I would never abandon that post, you know what I'm saying? And I want the same thing for you. So know that the people are only gonna go as far as you take them, you know what I'm saying? And your distance is always gonna be determined by that integral factor. You know what this thing means to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have a vision for it. You gotta see where you're gonna take your platform in the next 5, 10, and 15 years. And the people will go with you. And if I left this earth tomorrow, I will leave it please knowing that I trust you enough to know that you're gonna take them in the right direction, bro.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
And father-son team of the goddamn decade.
Yeah.
For those of us who I got my father's in my life.
Yeah, but the rebranding of this decade goes to our brother Black Dot. You know what I'm saying?
I told him that in the last hour, like hours ago. I just told him that.
you know, because people take rebranding. I know that you're not tied into ego to be like, what? I ain't never left nowhere. What I need to. I'm just saying that you became the father. You know, we got Father Rich, but you became the father because, you know, we always say that this information is one generational. You know, you could look at a lot of different stories to be like, with the exception of Queen Afua and some aspects of Sabi's family, you know, there's not too many families in this. There's not too much information that gets passed from one generation to the next where the child says, yo, I really dig what you was doing enough to do that.
That's facts.
Consciousness don't normally work like that.
That's right. And I don't mean to cut your wisdom. That there's something that's not spoken of, and that's the fact that some of our children is like, fuck out of here with that shit. You know what I'm saying? And some of our, what we do this for, what we sacrifice for this is to say, and what we would, if they say, yo, there's a genie wish, what would be your wish? There's some of us parents to say, I just wish that my son and my daughter would pick this up and carry on tradition, because I want them to be greater than me. And you have parents right now who don't know how to do that with their children, and you are showing us that it's possible, and you're giving us.
Yeah. Not only that, they haven't seen a father-son dynamic, so people are vicariously raising their youngins through you in the demonstration that you and your son are putting on, and it's honorable, it's commendable, and it's gonna go far.
I don't. Yeah, let me finish, because I just wanted to say, because in my some more than 10 years in this community, that the number one Achilles heel of these these master teachers and these quote unquote legends who are going to be written of in history books, one of the number one is the father issue. Daddy wasn't there. That is the debilitating Achilles heel, not in the conscious community, in Black America, especially the Z, the Y, and the X generation. So we did not see, and many of us need that. So by you demonstrating that, you don't know how conscious that is.
Told him, man, Doc changed the entire spectrum, the entire game with that pop. I was confused when I see it, bro. I'm like, well, father and a son, they both Black. Like, I was like, oh, and they doing business together? Oh, that's like, bro, like, that's the best thing in the world.
And they're consistent.
And they're consistent, and it's quality. And it's quality. Like, you see their clothing, you see the way they put it together, like, oh,
quality shit. Of camera, you know. Because I've been in the studio, so I know what you put into it. Like, you put on, and you put on for your children. That wasn't a self-aggrandizing move to say, oh, this is my plan to reinsert myself into the conversation. You did it initially. It was for Eli. It wasn't even for Malcolm first, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, for those those of us that know, man, like,
and don't forget his wife, please.
Love you, bro.
Not at all. His wife do all the artwork.
Yeah, she's a legend.
She's a genius on all the artwork. Like, she's the G, even from Moo Productions, I think.
Yeah,
she used to do the covers.
Yeah, she used to do covers. So yeah, shout out to that queen. With that being said, man, it's late. It's almost 2 a.m. on the East Coast. And once again, I want to thank you, brothers, for coming on the platform. Woo! We closed out the decade. So many ups and downs throughout a 10-year period between everybody. We're here together doing a YouTube.
Simon got his hand up. Yeah.
I gotta say something.
Go ahead, Simon. Go ahead, brother.
I am the only numerovationalist in the world.
Hey!
That's right.
In Urban Dictionary, anywhere in the world, you Google up numerovator or numerovation, it comes straight to the king.
Yes, sir.
Hands down.
Hands down.
Oh, you got that? You got that in the dictionary?
I got it in the dictionary, sir. Yes, sir.
I gotta get a
Urban Dictionary, yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. Listen, man, and with that being said, family, thank everybody for tuning. Let me see what's going on in the chat. Okay, we got about 900 people in the chat this morning. Thank everybody for watching, for staying up with us at 2 a.m. I appreciate it. I know tomorrow's New Year's Eve. Everybody got a lot to do. Anybody else? Because we about to get out of here. Anybody else before we get out of here?
Yeah, let me leave my cash. Let me leave my cash app so they can make it rain on the God.
All right, go ahead, Red.
Yeah, money sign Phil Moreland. Talk black to me.
Okay.
Blue, yeah. I got a lecture called Dedication 2020, the Victory Lap, where I want to surmise the whole metaphysical breakdown of this year and how, at the ending of this year, it's the Victory Lap. We won. So if you're a Black God out there, you need to be doing your victory lap because 2020 has already been consecrated and signaled as you winning. So $, Blue Pillar 44. I'm gonna throw that. That lecture will be on Know the Ledge Media, hopefully, before the new year by tomorrow.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I have American Gods 3 coming, a webinar January 4th. American Gods 3. We're gonna get into the Watchmen. We're gonna get into American Gods, and we're gonna talk about some of the things that Blue Pill is talking about, how we how we made it, how we got this thing, how we got this far, and where we going with it. So yeah, all right, y'all.
Yeah, Doc.
Speaking of plugging my son, this is his brand new book, Urban Excellence, and it'll be available soon. Go to Amazon.com to pre-order. When you pre-order, you get a free T-shirt, and we will be tearing the New York City down on January 19th. And I know the gods will be in the building.
That's right. And of course, y'all know numbers are simple, people are complicated. Cash App, $ King Simon 3158. King Simon Productions on everything, or just Google up Numerovation, and you'll find me all over the internet. Thanks. Love y'all.
Indeed, all that. Thanks for being on the show, family. We out of here. We see y'all in 2020. Wow. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.